Jeff, of course, Mike Lubie, and it's always a pleasure to have this gentleman on the program because he's a good man and a great commentator as well, and was a terrific football player at both Penn State and in the pros with the Miami Dolphins. The great O.J. McDuffie joins us here on the show. The Dolphins are fast as hell. Yeah. I'm thinking, if this guy McDaniel has this innovative kind of Bill Walsh extrapolation that also involves a running game and these offensive weapons obviously fit the puzzle very, very well, it could be very interesting to see a team just outspeed other teams. Just curious if this was ever offered to you in any kind of promotional thing or charitable effort, because I was a big fan of when like a football player would race against a thoroughbred racehorse. Bullet Bob Hayes did it. I think he might have beat the horse. Skeets Nehemiah, who, wow, where did he get his hands from? Nehemiah, was that?
Oh man, I don't know. For Roberto Duran, you got to put Roberto Duran.
The time. Wake up with Defo, joined by Lubie. Welcome to the Defo Show.
And a very pleasant good morning, everybody. Great to be with you here on the Defo Show, South Florida Live. Jeff DeForest and one Mike Lubitz, the always affable, friendly, and cheerful early in the morning. Mike Lubitz. Lubie, how are you on this fine day? We were getting started here. A little bit of a cloud cover out there here in South Florida, but more so in England as the early action at Wimbledon slightly delayed. It's almost like a Spirit Airlines flight, where if the delay is like an hour or maybe a little bit less, you're considering that to be on time. So they're about to crank this thing up at 7 o'clock here, which we've just hit, and get the action rolling at Wimbledon after the wet courts. Soggy grass is not a favorable condition to play tennis under. If you have wet grass courts, absolutely an abortion. The only time I ever played on a grass court, Libby, outside of just like hitting a ball in the yard or something, tennis is on Key Biscayne. Was on Key Biscayne many years ago. Harvey Fialkov and Steve Wine. Steve Wine used to, I think he retired from the Associated Press. He may still be writing, old Steve Areno. And he was a big tennis fan and a good tennis player, as is Harvey. And he and Harvey and Steve Wine, Harvey, and Marty Fleischman, the old PR director. Well, he wasn't old at the time, but he's probably old now, like I am. The PR director, he was a PR director at, I believe, first Miami Highlight, then went to Dania. He might have made the same move and followed the same path as the great Joey Kornblit. Either that or he could have been at Dania the whole time. That I don't totally recall all of the details on, but great guy, one of the nicest guys you'll ever meet. There were many public relations directors in sort of the offbeat sports that comprise the essence of what the sporting landscape was here in South Florida, especially since it involved degeneracy, Louie. You would imagine I'd become familiar with all of these people. But when dog racing and highlight were popular, and we only had the Miami Dolphins and the Miami Hurricanes football team as entities here, Hurricanes didn't even have a basketball team. The Dolphins were the only professional team here. Highlight and dog racing were very prominent. We did have an NASL team, which is where we met the great Chip Namias and, of course, Ray Hudson, who I had the pleasure of seeing about a month or so ago, courtesy of Jim Sarney, who brought Ray Hudson out to the Sea-Watch restaurant across the street from the Deep Digs here. And we had a grand old time reminiscing about some of the good old days, which, even though I covered the Fort Lauderdale Strikers, Lubie, when they were in the NASL, I'd first come to town, and this was like the next big thing. Now, I grew up in New York, where they have two teams in every sport. And then lived and first started covering sports in Los Angeles, where they have two teams in basketball. They had a hockey team. The LA Kings weren't that popular at the time. The Lakers, surprisingly, were not overwhelmingly popular. They were in a real down period, Lubie, where it was fairly easy to get a Laker ticket. Can you imagine?
Well, in the 70s, yeah. Before a bus.
Their big star was Cornell Warner. Was like their big star at the
Before
time.
Kareem.
And then he drafted a bunch of guys that they eventually traded for Kareem, including Junior Bridgman. Who else was that? Dave Myers was part of that deal. Dave Myers, whose sister Ann was probably
a legend, yep.
A more significant player, legendary. We mentioned her name to Leslie Visser. I'm surprised Leslie didn't she say Ann Myers was like one of her guests on her Title IX?
Yes, she just talked to her like a week or so ago.
Unbelievable. Ann Myers, one of the great female basketball players of all time. Not mentioned as often as as probably she should be in that capacity. And the other guy was Brian Winters. Remember Brian Winters? You
Yeah.
recall this
Oh,
guy?
I
A pretty
remember
good jump
of
shooter.
Winters. Yeah.
Well, and they ended up becoming Myers. Actually, what was the most disappointing in terms of not fulfilling his potential. Junior Bridgman was okay out of Louisville, and wasn't it Junior Bridgman that went on to become like a major entrepreneur with various fast food franchises? I want to say it was Junior Bridgman that did that. I believe he became like an Elon Musk type of entrepreneur. But also was a successful basketball player, probably the most recognizable of the three. Brian Winters wasn't bad. Those three guys, two of the three, anyway, panned out pretty well for Milwaukee. But guess what? You would have to say that overall, the trade was very favorable for the Los Angeles Lakers with the acquisition of one Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. I like the understated way that the at the time, I guess they still have a guy with a deep kind of froggy voice that doesn't go crazy as the arena announcer, the stadium announcer for the Lakers games, right? He just kind of guy makes a basket and he just gives it
Oh
the
my
old
God.
LeBron James.
Junior Bridgman went on to own Ebony and Jet magazine.
There you go. I told you, Junior Bridgman
They were
was a very clever
huge. I mean, I don't
businessman.
know how big they are now, but when I was growing up, those were huge magazines.
Big, yeah.
Oh my God.
Did he buy car dealerships or something?
sure he
Or
did
was that Jamal
everything.
Mashburn? Yeah.
Well, Mashburn was a car dealership throughout Kentucky and then I think the Southeast. But if he's owning Ebony and Jet, he did other things to get that money. You don't just become a magazine magnet. Like you own other stuff to get that money to then become a magnate. Like, wow, that's impressive. Good for him.
It was transformational also because Kareem, of course, comes to Los Angeles, and then all you had to do was watch a little Winning Time, and you could see very clearly what the rest of the story was. It was Magic Johnson, and everybody else was an asshole.
Yeah, exactly.
Didn't seem that way at the time. I mean, that was a fairly likable bunch of guys. That was the beginning foundation of Showtime. But anyway, yeah, I mean, they had everything there. The Dodgers were huge. The Angels were kind of the redheaded stepchild in Los Angeles, even though they were playing down the road a piece in Anaheim, but it was all pretty much one in the same area. It's kind of like Dade and Broward, Lubie. You consider it South Florida. This was Southern California. The Angels made every attempt to become a great team, and they actually had some tremendous players assembled. As the saying would go, the singing cowboy was always willing to empty his saddlebags. And when free agency first came around, the Angels dove right in, head first, into free agency. You know who one of the big free agent signings was for the Los Angeles Dodgers early in free agency? Like one of the first guys to get big money. I think he might have got like $4 million, and everybody was like, "Whoa, what are you kidding me for this guy?" Was a guy named Dave Goltz.
Oh, geez.
Who I think had come from the Minnesota Twins and had a good season. He might have been a 20-game winner with the Twins 1 year. And he got a big, fat contract from the Dodgers and never panned out. Rod Carew, though, was part of the Angels. They had Bobby Grich. They had Don Baylor. They had a lot of good players on that an Angel team, and yet they still were always going to run second to the LA Dodgers, who were having a pretty nice run. I mean, imagine this. I'm a young sports writer. The Dodger infield back then was the Penguin, Bill Russell, Davey Lopes, Steve Garrio at first base. They had Yeager, Mike Scioscia were the two catchers.
Yep.
Steve Yeager, Mike Scioscia, they platooned at catcher. Very good. And, Dusty Baker in the outfield. And Rick Monday was on some of those Dodger teams as a center fielder. Really, excellent teams. Good pitching all the way through. And they were always prominent and contenders to win the World Series, whereas the Angels never quite measured up to the expectations that people had for them. But you had that. I mean, the Clippers were still in San Diego when I was living out there. So you had the Lakers, Kings, Dodgers, and Angels, and of course, the Rams and the Oakland Raiders had come to town. So this is what I was used to. And I come here, and the first season that I covered football, they didn't quite make it all the way. I mean, it was the next year that they really blossomed, won that surprising national championship under Howard Schnellenberger, and it was great meeting Howard Schnellenberger. Well, when the season was over, I was ready to cover basketball, and I find out, what? They don't have a team? You got to be kidding me. And then the Dolphin season was over naturally shortly after that, and you're asking yourself, what the hell am I going to do? So it didn't take much to convince me to pay a lot of attention to the pari-mutuels. I actually used to interview like highlight players that spoke only broken English.
That's funny.
As part of the feature. I mean, it wasn't like a desperate grasp at anything, but it did ingratiate me into the the inner circle there with all the people in racing and highlight. Now, dog racing, you know what? I was sort of an advocate of it, but I never really the whole thing about the abuse factor. I'm not sad that they shut that down. Now, people would say, well, what about horse racing? I don't know that
From what we know,
the atrocities that people, see with regard to horse racing are not outweighed by the number of people that genuinely love these animals and take great care of them. I think that is the majority of the game there. And, while some people may say it's cruel to subject an animal to something that it really doesn't want to do, I mean, they've shut down circuses. Circuses don't have animals anymore, do they? Didn't Barnum and Bailey try to make a comeback? Maybe Barnum did. I don't know about Bailey.
I stopped trying to go. It made me sad, like just watching the animals from what I heard. So I don't know. I guess circus was actually a really cool place when you're young, but when you find out how they treat the animals, it sort of sucked.
Did you ever buy that little swinging flashlight that burnt out before you even left the arena there? That little swinging flashlight, and then, the guy next to you would have some kid that was out of control, and then or the thing would go flying off and hit some guy in the head in the bottom row there in Madison Square Garden as you were sitting in the upper deck. That was a big thing, though, to buy. It was like $1 too, which at the time was a reasonable amount of money to spend on something like that. Maybe even a little bit on the outrageous side, but that was it. The swinging flashlight and the rip-off cotton candy. The two things about going to the circus. Yes. I dug the circus though, because I'm like a huge fan of all kinds of different animals. I mean, I love my dogs, cats. I've had them all. Horses, naturally, a great affinity for that. Although I don't know that I have as much passion for horses that aren't wearing a number. Yeah. But I mean, that was always an issue. I know it's still a very debatable topic in thoroughbred racing, especially with the use of drugs and things like that. Hello, Bob Baffert. How are you today, Bobby?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, if he's using that kind of ammunition on high-end racehorses, what are they doing to their $25,000 claimers? Although I don't know that Baffert doesn't just toss those out of his barn or send them down. If Agua Caliente was still open, they'd be racing it in Tijuana. And that would be that. But, a very debatable issue. And I understand people are sensitive to it. I guess, should there be some guilt associated with turning a blind eye to, the things that can happen in both boxing and horse racing, two of my favorite sports, where animals, unfortunately, are subjected to injury that if they were just running around in a panic, you can't imagine that like a horse is going to just snap off a leg running around. And, of course, in boxing, you have all kinds of different things that happen, including, later on in life, the debilitating effects of being hit in the head all the time. And we only see the fights. But, and many people that I've known in the boxing game, would say, hey, this is no business for the faint of heart. If you're going to get in a ring and fight, you're getting pounded on every day in the gym also, no matter what kind of advantage you have over the sparring partners and what kind of instructions they have. If you're going to actually just get in there and spar a few rounds, guess what, Lubie? Well, you experienced a little of this going down to the Fifth Street Gym when you were doing that deal down there. I mean, even the champions are getting hit every day.
Yeah, there's nothing like boxing. It's amazing.
Not an easy sport to participate in. And, we've seen all kinds of tragedy take place as a result of being a professional boxer. But I don't know. Is there something morally absent with me that I just sort of turn a blind eye to that because I dig the sport?
Why? Look, they're when I was really little, it sort of grossed me out because it was very violent. But as I got older and I got more into it, like
there's an artistry to it. There's no question. I mean, and it is the ultimate sport in terms of competition because no ball, no bat. It's just you and another guy.
Yep.
And both of you have kind of accepted the risks and the inherent things that go along with the idea that you're in a sport where the object of the game is to knock the other guy out.
Well, and that's what I was going to say is it's adults owning up to what's going on. You have to have a clue of what it is, and they're doing it. That's, to me, different than animals. Animals are literally forced. So that's right. Just from what we know, the horses are treated well. The dogs weren't, but the horses, they're spending like millions of dollars, hundreds of thousands of dollars on these horses. When you're putting money like that into an animal, you're treating it pretty well.
Right. I mean, you're turning a horse over to Todd Pletcher. You're not
Yeah.
expecting. Well, but then again, there's Baffert.
Yeah.
You know, butazolinin. What is that? Let's try this. You see a little, vial of Sublimaze there by the barn area, and you're thinking, whose barn is this? Oh, Baffert. Look at that. Hey, Bobby, how you doing, man? How many derbies did you win? 7, 8?
Exactly.
Incredible. Anyway, good to be with you. And, there wasn't much to cover then. And Marty Fleischman was a great guy. Ken Malden, another guy down here that was in dog racing. And, these guys were very well respected because people did pay attention to those sports at the time. So bottom line is we all go out. We used to play doubles together at Shula's on the clay. And I forget who. I think Steve Wine was really the AP writer, was the impetus behind the idea, and Harvey was all over it too. Harvey Fialkoff, who you guys have seen on the show. Let's go down to Key Biscayne. They have a grass court there. Key Biscayne, where they used to hold the Miami Open, what is now the Miami Open, was on Key Biscayne. Great location for a tennis tournament. I mean, really, the whole vibe fit the town, the scene, the whole international spectrum. I mean, it really, really great. I enjoyed that immensely. I'm not as inclined. I had an invitation to go down to the Miami Open this year. Huge tennis fan. Love watching it live. You saw the difference in seeing these guys up close as opposed to being, a viewer on television. Night and day, the difference. I mean, just the flight of the ball and the spin and everything. You can see it so clearly when you're at a live match, and the speed of the game and the athleticism of the players. And I'm not inclined to go down to the new location. Key Biscayne, though. That would be an annual trek, no matter how difficult it was from a traffic standpoint, and the schlepping that you had to do. It was well worth it, and always worth doing. So the tournament was down there, and we knew they had a grass court there, and we were probably, I don't know if we were going to go there later in the day to catch the tournament. I think we just arranged to use the grass court, and it was wet. And there was no way. I mean, literally, you would have. It was like using a ball that the guys would use in bocce ball. I mean, like a croquet ball had more bounce to it. So no way to play under these wet conditions, and even the slightest bit of dampness, I would think, what would throw the tournament askew. But good action so far. And what did we tell you yesterday, Lubie? And what we said this 2 weeks ago, did we not, or a week and a half ago? That Serena Williams would not win a single match. Yep. At Wimbledon.
Yep, you called it.
And if you had money on this match, this would have been the thriller in Manila. It was absolutely sensational from that standpoint. Because this young girl, Harmony Tan, who is, what country? They said she was French. Harmony Tan. She looked Asian, but yeah.
I finally got it. Her background is Cambodian, Vietnamese, and then she herself, I guess, was born and raised in France.
Okay. A pusher, as they would say in the business. You rarely see this anymore, especially, and now in the women's game, you used to have some slicers and dicers and women that played kind of a soft game. You don't see this anymore. These young ladies are pounding the living snot out of the ball, and they all hit big, heavy topspin forehands, and they just power the ball from both sides. You don't even see a lot of Steffi Graf slice backhands used by the women in tennis anymore. Now, here's Serena, the ultimate power player of all time. I don't think anybody would deny that. And I did come to this conclusion yesterday, even though Serena was off her game, that the Serena swinging volley, where she takes the ball out of the air when she charges the net and hits that giant swinging volley, is probably the tennis equivalent of the Kareem Abdul-Jabbar sky hook. An unstoppable shot that seems to be unique to one player. You'll see other players with the swinging volley, but nobody is as big and as expert a practitioner of it as Serena Williams was. And I don't know, did she start? Was she the first to start doing it? I can't imagine. Given the long history of the game, that she was the first to come running to the net, and just as a matter of routine, never lets the ball bounce. Just comes up there whenever the opponent hits like a floater back, especially on a serve. Yep. She's there at the net, and boom! I mean, just hits a howitzer.
Yep.
Back the other way, unreturnable, automatic winner, and she is dynamite at that. She had a bunch of those in the match yesterday. But this Harmony Tan is literally Vegemanic out there. She's slicing and dicing. I mean, using shots that you don't see in the game anymore because they would be largely ineffective.
Yeah,
This is the kind of opponent. Yeah, go ahead, Lou.
Well, I was going to say these women cover the court really well. Like, you're not getting away with that shot.
No, and even though the announcers yesterday, I guess Caroline Wozniacki, who is Serena's best friend, was doing the color analysis yesterday. And wow, I mean, you couldn't be any more overwhelmingly just spewing nothing but hyperbole all over Serena. While I'm watching her and saying, hey, this woman is flat out of gas. And they're in the middle of the second set that she's winning the second set, 6-1. She took it there. Here's an interesting thing about sport, Libby, and competing. All right. And a lot of people would say, nah, you're dead wrong about this, Deef. But I believe this. And that is, and if you're playing any game, all right, so Tan is down. She'd won the first set 7-5. All right, broke Serena like a couple of times, which already is somewhat unfathomable, but surely a sign that, not to mention your wife, but surely a sign that Serena is not the same player that she was.
Yep.
Well, we know this, but I mean, it's not even close. Not even a reasonable facsimile of Serena Williams.
She's not close.
If this was somebody else and you didn't know her name was Serena Williams and she walked out there, she didn't look as out of shape as she did a week ago. So maybe she, took that to heart and thought, well, geez, I can't come out here. I don't know. She looked like maybe it was the outfit she was wearing. She was wearing some schmata in the Eastbourne tournament over her tennis outfit that made her look exceptionally large. In fact, if she was a white player, I would have thought she was the equivalent of the boxer. I don't know if you remember this guy, Francois Botha, who was a sacrificial lamb that had like some credentials, but any of the good guys were going to beat the living shit out of this guy. He was like a modern day Jerry Quarry going back. I don't know if you can consider like 35 years ago modern day, but Francois Botha, the white buffalo. Serena, kind of reminded me a little bit of Botha in this match. Because you're thinking, I mean, the old Serena, I would have mopped the floor with Harmony Tan. Harmony Tan might have just panicked and not even come out there. But she loses the first set, comes back. She's up 5-0 in the second set. 5-0, okay? About to go for the bagel.
Yep.
And I'm thinking, and Harmony Tan, I believe, was serving to try and avoid getting bagel in the second set. And you thought, wow, here comes the steamroll. The upstart ranked 130th or whatever you said she was in the world, went out there, nobly battled Serena, but now she's about to get overwhelmed by the pressure. They're on center court. Everything is in Serena's favor. The crowd is going nuts every time Serena makes a shot. It wasn't like they were impolite to Harmony Tan. I mean, there was some acknowledgement that she was in there and she would score a point or get a point. And, there were like kind of polite applause for her. But Serena making like the simplest of shots. And the crowd was going nuts. You would have thought that, Meghan Markle and Harry had come back and apologized for being assholes and said, hey, you know what? I don't know. Is that fair to deem them assholes for what they, if they were so interested in the privacy of life and getting out of the spotlight, why are they on the Oprah Winfrey show?
Well, my problem, that's the only reason I would say they're assholes. Good for them for wanting to live their life. My problem is they want to live their life, but still make the same money from the same sources. Just now be more free doing it. So you don't even want to, like, at least the royals are indebted to doing this and that. They want to make the money, but not do any of the stuff.
Right, yeah. They just want the capital and the recognition. Yeah, Meghan Markle, make me a star.
It's a little douchey.
You think Harry eventually leaves her, or is he just, whipped?
I think he's just, I think he's just a guy that's like, I don't care. Harry seems to be the guy that was.
He seemed like a decent guy, Harry, didn't he? I mean, he was one of the more likable royals, was he not?
Yeah, that's the thing. He's not. He doesn't have a presence. He knows what his role is. Like, it's going to be his dad, then his brother. Then it'll move on to their children. So he sort of knows his role and he's embraced it as just being like the regular dude, as regular as you can be. So he lets his wife go out there, get all the fame. He's never wanted it. He doesn't care about it. And I don't think he's going anywhere.
Well, if Meghan had gotten down on her knees and begged for forgiveness from the Queen for being an asshole, you took my son away from me. No, I don't know what the Queen thinks of Meghan Markle. I would imagine, probably not her favorite person in the world. And there are many reasons for that, including some that really, you couldn't really have that much great respect for if that was true about this abuse that this woman was suffering at the hands of the royals. Which was an activity and participation in terms of all of this royal ceremony that she seemed very comfortable with, right? It was like a red carpet every day. But anyway, I don't know enough about the situation to be judgmental about it. So let's just let it pass. That was a bad example. But Serena was being treated as if this was the most special occasion. If Steffi Graf had come out of retirement, the crowd wouldn't have been any more excited. If Virginia Wade had come out of retirement to win the tournament, a British woman, they would not have been any more excited than they were about every shot that Serena made. So here's this Harmony Tan. Not exactly a woman who's used to the spotlight. I mean, she would have trouble getting in without ID to court 16 at Wimbledon, even dressed as a player and showing her tour card with her ranking on it. They still might question whether she even belonged out there on the most distant court away from center court. She's out there at center court. The pressure has to be, somewhat immense. You're playing Serena Williams, a legend, and the entire crowd is on her side throughout. And now you're down 5-0 in the second set. It would have been easy to roll over. And here's the thing about sports, Lubie, and we talk about this a lot in relation to teams that start complaining about having somebody else run up the score on them. And that is, and I thought, don't get bageled here, Harmony Tan. Because naturally, I had no monetary interest in this. I wimped out. I didn't bet the thing. I wouldn't have even known. I don't have the betting apps, or I would have thrown at least a couple of bucks on Harmony Tan because I opened up a big mouth a week ago and said Serena would not win a single match. Then we saw the matchup and thought, wow, I mean, what kind of Don King WBC arrangement is this? How does Serena, unranked? I don't even think she was ranked 400th in the world. I believe I saw something where her ranking was actually like 1,200 or something like that. I don't know, but unranked wild card entry into the tournament, didn't actually qualify. Got in, due to the Wimbledon committee or whatever it is, deciding body, governing body said, and rightfully so. Look, if Serena Williams wants to play Wimbledon, are you going to say no?
Oh no.
Yeah, I mean, she was playing a year ago. She'd been out, injury put her out of the game, and I don't know that she was a threat to win any more of the slams, but she did come close, right? Got to the finals there, lost to Osaka. That was a few years ago. What was that, like 2019, something like that?
Like 2-3 years ago. Yep.
All right, it does not appear to be anywhere near the same player.
She's...
We know that. And yet it's not bad enough. I mean, you're still thinking it's Serena, right? That she might be able to pull it together. Much like, I don't know that this is quite Tiger Woods syndrome, but it's getting there. And now at this point it is. Because when we saw her at Eastbourne and she comes out for that doubles match, you were thinking, my God, this woman is in no shape to play singles. Zero. It's going to be a lot tougher for her when she's not out there with Ons Jabeur and, taking on early round opponents in a doubles competition in kind of a minor prelude tournament to Wimbledon. So, and I thought she was going to be in there against like Simona Halep or, somebody that was ranked, and of significance in the game. But this Harmony Tan, they found her out of nowhere. So she's down 5-0, and I'm thinking, push her, as far as you can in this set. Don't just concede this last game and lose 6-0 and say we're going on to the third set, because the more you make Serena work in this match, the easier it's going to be for you later on. Yep. If you're going to have any chance at all, you need to push her to as many limits as you can. And even if she ended up losing a set 6-1, but she did win a game. And I was thinking, even though she couldn't take it any further, it was significant that she didn't just fold up right there. So she comes out and, Serena is serving for the match in the third set. She's up 5-4. She breaks Tan, and she was having, pretty good success taking Tan to great limits in very lengthy games to try and defend her own serve. Talking about Harmony Tan. What was really struggling to hold serve in a lot of games. I mean, they were having 10, 15-minute, 20-minute games where they had, a dozen deuces before Serena eventually ground her down. And now she's serving for the set. And when do you see Serena Williams lose that game? Never. Serena Williams serving for the match in the third set after overcoming all of the, whatever physically debilitating things that were happening to her during the match, because she looked like she was completely out of gas. It looked like the 10th round of a Gotti Ward fight. It really did. And it wasn't like she had been pushed that hard. It's just she was completely out of shape, or so it seemed. And that's what we observed before. So I don't know. What could we have made on this match? Could we have gotten 3-1 odds on Harmony Tan? I don't know.
I don't know. The professor, who I guess was watching us yesterday, after trivia last night when I was leaving, he just texted Harmony Tan. I was like, yep, she did it. He's like, wow, that must have been a monster money line play. It's like, yeah, if only Defo had it. Like, there's no way.
Well, you know what? I didn't see what the price was. I know
I
you
didn't
would
see it
say,
at all.
Serena, I saw you said 17-1 to win the tournament, which I thought any
Well,
of
that
that
was
money
Andy.
was just.
Andy said you were plus 1,700 for her to win it all.
I
was
saw
like,
her at
what's she doing?
20-1. There wouldn't have been a dime of anybody with any semblance of rational thinking that could have gone on Serena to win the tournament. I mean, even as a sentimental, even her mother could not have bet on her to win the tournament. With all the money that the Williams have accumulated over the years between Venus and Serena, and they're making movies about them and all kinds of stuff. And how many endorsements? Serena's on everything.
Yep.
She was
More
becoming
now
very
than ever.
popular as an endorser.
Yep.
Is she becoming less popular because she hasn't been in the spotlight? Because about a year ago, she was in every commercial, right? She was in one of those crazy car ads where you don't know what car they're advertising. But she's just sitting in the rain in the cockpit, supposedly, of this like spaceship-like SUV that she's driving. And, then they come up with, like, after, you're watching this thinking, what the hell is this? And then at the end, they don't even put up the logo of the vehicle, do they? They just say, if you really want comfort, drive this. Like, what? She was in the Subway ads, which it appeared that she actually was a big proponent of downing a lot of Subway sandwiches. Not to body shame Serena, because she was always, large by comparison.
That was the thing. She was always a bigger, stronger player, but she could cover the court as well as anyone. And I didn't get to watch the match like you. I kept an eye on it, but this morning watching the highlights just, to see how she looked like crap. I'm sorry. Like, Tan was not playing spectacular, especially well. Serena just looked like she was done. Like, and Andy said something. Yeah, if she got in shape and focused, she probably could be top 50, maybe better. Yeah, probably. But that's the whole point is she's now going to be on the other side of 40, literally in 2 months. And she has focused on off the court businesses her entire career. And on top of that, then got married and had a family. So it's clear where her focus is, and good for her. There's nothing wrong with that. But she's not going to do getting in shape, because she would have done it for this. If she was going to do it for anything, she would have come back with a double showing a little bit of something and then come back in this Wimbledon and tore it up. She looked out of shape. She looked slow. She looked old. Even Jimmy Connors in that run when he was 39, he looked better to me than she looked here. Like, she just looked old, and it was sad. Like, to me, it was just sad to see her out there doing that. She doesn't need to do anything for anyone. If she loves the game, fine. But it's like, I don't know. You want to love the game looking like that. Harmony Tan looked like the 130th player in the world, and by the end of it, it looked like Serena was just done. Like, she just looked
Harmony
done.
Tan looked like one of those players at the park that asks you if she can join you for a doubles game, because she sees you're only playing, hitting around with 3 people. I wouldn't be surprised if Harmony Tan showed up at the Pompano Municipal Tennis Center and said, "Hey, you want to hit?" I would think I'd rather find somebody that could hit the ball a little bit. I mean, an underhand slice from the forehand side, you don't see anybody using that except if they're hitting a drop shot or as an extreme defensive measure where you just can't get to the ball and you barely get a racket on it. And, you're sliding off the court, about to be impaled to the fence, but you somehow flip one up there instead of going, as they say, low to high to put the topspin on the ball, you go the exact opposite direction. So it takes a little crazy spin off to the right there. It really is just shanking one on a golf match on a golf course where you hit like a wicked slice. It's a shot that you rarely see employed as an actual part of the game. Somebody's offensive game in tennis. Rarely see that. Now, and it wasn't anything that was going to fool Serena, because Serena normally would gobble this stuff up. And she's a professional tennis player with 23 slams. She's not somebody that's going to be baffled by somebody that's hitting slice all the time. She's going to annihilate that. You wouldn't be able to get away with it. And plus, Harmony Tan's second serve couldn't break an egg. Literally. I mean, if you put an egg there and she hit the egg directly with her second serve, the egg wouldn't even break. And Serena's getting, beaten by this girl. You have to be kidding me. All right. So, anybody can have an off day. I don't think Serena was having an off day. I
didn't
think
look
she was
off.
having a good day by her standards.
Yep.
But she was completely out of gas. And then she gets up after losing her serve to possibly close out the set. They go to the tiebreaker now. Thank God Wimbledon has mercifully incorporated a final set tiebreaker to decide matches. I mean, this after this Isner thing from many years ago, where he ended up playing a guy 68-66 across 3 days to decide the final set because nobody could break serve. And that was insane. I mean, it was like cruel actually to make two tennis players go out there and decide a match like that. And so they finally wised up and said, okay, that they're going to go not to the 7-point tiebreaker, but the 10-point tiebreaker, which is definitive enough. It's the equivalent of playing at least a couple of games, and if you have to win by 2, so more than a fair way to decide the final and decisive set in a tennis match. Now, I'm not a fan necessarily of changing up. In other words, is the first set not just as important in terms of accumulating set victories as the final set? So why should the first set be decided by a 7-point tiebreaker, but the last set decided by a 10-point tiebreaker? Shouldn't they all be the same? Would you think that would be, a more legitimate way to approach this thing, Louis? In other words, you could have won 2 7-point tiebreakers, and then, it gets to a fifth set, and now you're going to play a 10-point tiebreaker. And, it seems odd that you would change the situation just because it was the final set. And in fact, in the past, right, they were playing that thing out. They were playing tiebreakers in the earlier sets. Which was even more ridiculous when you had a guy like Isner or this Rally Opelka, big servers. They play a lot of tiebreakers. Well, you can't make those guys just go on into perpetuity playing until somebody gets up 2 games. That was insane. So a 10-point tiebreaker, and Serena takes a 4-0 lead, Lubie. Shoots out to a 4-0 lead. Tan screwed up a couple of shots. Serena made a couple of decent shots. And while she was bent over double practically after each point because she was exhausted, Serena goes up 4-0 in a 10-point tiebreaker and then loses the next 5 points and eventually loses the tiebreaker 10-8. And that was that. Gone. Now, does she play again? I guess they're speculating that she's going to, play in the U.S. Open, which is a hard court, but... why would she come back unless she played some interim matches in between? I mean, it doesn't appear she's ready to compete. Very strange, Libby.
It was
you
just
think that's sponsor driven? What do you think?
Yeah, but that's the thing is, it's not money. It's clearly love, Tony Segredo, love of the game type stuff. But I just don't get it. Like, why would you want? Look, I looked there looking for the positive, and she was doing the celebrating thing like she had won Wimbledon, and I'm like, Serena, like, I mean, come on, like, it made me sad. Like, it made me go, okay, what are we doing here? Like, what is the point?
It's weird seeing a great champion like that
trying to gut out a first round victory.
Yeah, I mean, but I mean, just she would get a point in a game, like a key point, just stave off a break or something, and let out like a primal scream of jubilation.
Serena,
and you're thinking, Serena, you're in the first round against Harmony Tan.
Like, come on, Serena. Like,
and you're that deeply emotionally involved here? What are you talking about? This isn't the final. It's not like you're playing Swiatek in the first round and you have her 1-1.
Exactly.
Unbelievable. Well, and she should have been in there against one of the top seeds. I mean, that was an insane, favorable, draw that Serena Williams was given. I don't know. Was she in the same draw as some of the other heavyweights? I didn't even look because I thought she'd be out in the first round. We said that a week ago. We was right. It's not quite as bold a prediction as the own goal by Neymar in the World Cup or the Martin Keimer, victory, or I guess Jersey Kyle's pick of Country House to win the Kentucky Derby, a few years back when the horse paid like 100 and change. That was pretty good. I mean, we've had some decent predictions on this show with our brilliant sports insight. But this one I thought was fairly easy. And I'm curious if anybody knows what the odds were. Moneyline on Harmony Tan. Please let us know, because I was unable to find that information, and I feel badly now that I didn't at least put a couple of hundred on Harmony Tan. And that would have made that match as exciting as anything that I've ever witnessed in my life. To see this girl come back, stave off a Serena serving to close out the match in the third set, break Serena in that game, get it to 6-6, go down 4-0 in the tiebreaker, and then come back and beat Serena Williams, and you win a bet on that at like 2-3 to 1. You would have to think that was maybe the ultimate degenerate
Yeah, it's a great
achievement.
call.
No?
Yeah, it's a great
Yeah.
call. Yeah, you were right.
When I saw
man.
the opponent, I would have hedged my position a little bit,
I
but
know.
we did stick to it yesterday, did we not? We stuck to it, Louie.
You did. Yeah, you
And
did.
that's what this show is all about, right there. We
Sure.
gave you Harmony 10 at plus whatever to beat the great Serena Williams with the entire world on Serena's back.
Yep.
Just ready to ride that girl right to the finals there. People even betting at 17 or 20 to 1 that she was going to win the tournament. Incredible. No wonder FanDuel and DraftKings can advertise on everything and buy like portions of major league teams now. Incredible, because people are throwing money away on Serena Williams to win the Wimbledon championship at 40 years old, a washed-up has-been of herself.
Yep.
Literally. I mean, how could you possibly have seen a winning tournament at Wimbledon? She would have had to mow down 7 different opponents, including, I mean, once she got out of the first round, she was going to be playing, turned out, I guess, the 32nd player in the world is meeting 10 in the second round.
Yeah.
This Sorbis Toronto or something like that. I've seen her play a few times. She's not bad. Certainly, would have been a much more formidable foe for Serena than Harmony 10 will prove to be. And I would imagine Harmony 10 gets blown off the court here in 2 sets, even with the emotional high of having knocked Serena out of Wimbledon. Not too many people beat Serena at Wimbledon, right? Not the easiest thing to do. I mean,
No.
Serena's record at
I mean, in
Wimbledon
the
has to
first
be ridiculous.
round, like, it's only the third time in her career she's lost to someone outside the top 100. Like,
Amazing, yeah.
Like, I don't know.
That's a trend that will
was
continue.
sad.
So, do you want to see the great champions come back and be a shell of themselves? I guess that would be the question. If Pete Sampras decided to make a comeback, and you knew he was going to get knocked out in the first round of every tournament, if Andre Agassi decided to make a comeback, or any of the great women players, I mean, if Martina decided to come back, would you embrace it? Maybe, for a second, but
Well, she did. Martina did play into, like, randomly would play in her 30s, but she wasn't Martina, but she was competitive and she was fun and she would gut these matches out, and it was really cool to see. It was just, again, like Carter. Carter played till he was a little older, but he was like, it wasn't prime Carter, but he was in it and he'd be fun.
You're talking Vince Carter.
No, Jimmy Carter.
Jimmy O'Connors, you said.
Jimmy Connors. I'm sorry, I don't want to say
Connors,
Carter. Jimmy Connors played till he was older, and he wasn't himself, but you could tell he was like enjoying.
He was still good though. Yeah.
But he was having fun. He was playing up the crowd. He wasn't the same dude he was younger, and it was like he was embracing the end of his game, and he would have moments.
He was never out of shape though. He was always in tremendous shape.
Exactly. He was going after balls, and he was in the match. Like, she was the opposite. Like, she was taking everything she could, and she still didn't have enough. It's like, okay. Like, what are we doing?
mean, when she came to the net, literally, there was a registration on a local seismograph there in London, and people thought that there was like a 3.2 registration on the Richter scale. Everybody started looking, see if Big Ben was still in place. All right, enough. I don't mean to trash Serena Williams because look, I was not a fan of Serena Williams. I don't like the way she treated people. She seemed very insincere to me. She would put on that whole mushy thing when she won a match. Oh, it's so great to play in front of the fans. And what an honor and a privilege to be here. But she seemed like a complete phony because when she lost, she was a bitter,
exactly.
just outrageously, not even impolite is not a strong enough way to put it. I mean, she was an asshole. She really was. We're using that word a lot to describe people.
You are. That's one. I curse a lot here, but I don't use that one.
Jerk. I don't know. She just
she
was
totally
contrary to everything that she. It's the same reason that I kind of soured on Tiger Woods when we found out he was a complete fraud. That always, and maybe he's come around. Everybody has their flaws. I mean, it's not like you have to be perfect just because you're in the public spotlight. But if you're going to represent yourself in a certain way and, act like you're this gracious, humble, I can't believe I won this match, then don't be, cursing out. I mean, you talk about some obnoxious language. I mean, how about her treatment of various chair umpires and the poor, line judges that she thought jobbed her during her career. And she would berate these people in McEnroe-esque type fashion.
Yep.
Only, we thought McEnroe was crazy. We knew he didn't pretend that he was like Mr. Nice Guy.
Well, that was the
Whereas Serena, was just the opposite. When she won, she couldn't have been any nicer of a human being, or so it seemed. Now, you think right after the press conference, she went out there and said, "You know what? That Bud Collins is a jerk." I miss
I
Bud
wouldn't doubt it.
Collins on these coverages, by the way. If you're ever going to miss a TV character, I mean, it was always great having Bud Collins doing any kind of commentary on these matches. Even when he was relegated to, I
Oh,
don't
he
know
was
that he ever
great.
was pushed into the
No,
Haywood
no.
Hale Bruin role, where he would come up with like one Jack Whitaker like poetry thing. He was always infused into the coverage, and
Yep.
Collins, he was terrific. Bud Collins,
Yep.
missed that guy
Great.
around the tennis tournaments. It was Chris Fowler and Caroline Wozniacki calling the Serena match yesterday.
No,
And
yeah,
you would
because
have thought Serena was in her prime. You really would. I mean, everything she did was exalted, as if it was the greatest. I mean, she would return a second serve that registered at 60 miles an hour and return it for a winner. There it is. There's the sign of her greatness. Like, no, I could have returned that serve. And slammed the forehand of that. What are you talking about? It's like they're lobbing it up to you. It was almost like they were teeing it up for Serena in this match. Anyway, they tried every which way to get her to win, and she couldn't do it. So and that was that. But it was very entertaining. When Tan won, even though I didn't bet any money on it, I leaped off the couch there and into the arms of the Mustang like I was Yogi Berra running out to the mound there to congratulate Don Larson. Remember when Larson caught Berra? No, that was.
I don't remember, but yes, I've seen it. Yes, I've seen it.
All right. The Marlins, I tune them in. I'm a jinx for the Marlins. I'm not watching anymore.
Well, that was a disaster. I'm not better because I saw the score. They were up like 3-0. I'm like, oh, good for them.
3-1, yeah. I said I tuned in 3-1. Guys sailing along.
And that was the end of that.
Was Mattingly watching the game in that inning where the Cardinals rallied to tie the game?
He just let Garrett keep pitching. He's like, go on, bud.
Garrett was throwing. I mean, this was the definition of the hanging curveball. He was throwing nothing but hangers in there. I mean, they're just straight across the plate. He would get a couple of strikes on a guy with pretty good pitches, but then here it comes, right? I don't know. What is the sign? The guy had 4 fingers down. And,
for meatball.
I think that happened twice. Yeah, is that the sign for a meatball? Like you're, calling Steve Materano on the phone. Hey, Steve. Yeah, 2 of the big ones.
You did this.
Do the Casino Cafe Moderanos in Vegas and Atlantic City serve the same meatball that they do down here in the Fort Lauderdale location on Oak Boulevard?
I mean, our crowd is pretty degenerate, so maybe they know.
$25 meatball? Somebody must know.
I feel like that's an Andy move.
well, no, but casino restaurants, that have like somebody's famous name attached, aren't always the same as like the original.
True.
For some reason, they tone it down a little bit. We're not really putting any pork in those meatballs. I'm not sure, but I was thinking maybe I impose after getting bludgeoned a little bit in the casino at Harrah's in New Orleans. We impose on the Mustangs very gracious casino host for birthday dinner there at Moderano's. That wouldn't be bad. But if it's not the same, who wants to go, right? What do you think? Got to be decent anyway.
Well, it should be. It wouldn't be horrible, I would think. It may be different, but it doesn't mean it's bad.
All right.
Yeah, I mean,
I'll accept that, Lubie, and especially if it's free.
If they'll hook it up, I mean, why would you not do it? It's worth a try.
I'll even wear a little pointy hat there.
Who gives a shit?
They know it's my birthday. Wonder if it comes with a complimentary piece of cake. I tune into Marlins, though. They're up 3-1. This guy starts throwing hanging curveballs. It was Meatball City. It was meatballs and spaghetti. And I'm looking at, Stoudemire and Mattingly are talking, and I think Stoudemire's got to be telling him, or Mattingly saying one to the other, hey, we got to get this guy out of here, no?
Yeah, he's done.
My God. Just 2-strike hit after 2-strike hit, and each one was on the guy Sosa, who I guess he had the key hit in that inning because he had a triple in the alley, but he had just missed a home run on a hanging curve, and he comes right back. It's another one. I see the guy put the 4 fingers down, and I'm thinking, no, he's not calling for another hanging curveball, is he? And there it is.
There it is.
1's a fastball, 2's a curve, 3's a slider, and 4
is meatball.
Is a hanging curve.
4 is just leave one out
really
there.
Have 4 pitches anyway. Unbelievable, yeah. And that girl, Harmony Tan, was throwing slop up there like Tommy John did when he came back from the surgery. I mean, just that left-handed slop. She wasn't a lefty, but where everything just kind of dives off the plate.
Oh my God.
About 78 miles an hour. How do you lose to that? All right, Dave Hyde going to join us. And we gave you the lineup yesterday, and I kept saying that Tony Segreto was going to be with us for his usual old school on Wednesday, but he's going to join us on Friday as part of
Yes.
Degenerate Friday. Now, we should just turn Tony loose as a stone degenerate that day.
He'll do it.
Never
I mean,
mind,
he's done it.
I mean, he talks in platitudes and pleasantries about a lot of things in the sporting world. A big sports fan, obviously, and covered virtually everything. A class individual. He wouldn't be talking about Serena Williams as if she was the second coming of Francois Botha. Let's put it that way.
Oh,
That would not be a Tony Segreto move. He would roll his eyes and say, "You're so cynical, DeForest."
Yes, he would. 100%.
I'm an observer. That's what I am, Lubie.
Sure. That's you.
Speaking of which, did you observe any of this? I mean, how can you ignore it completely? This stuff with a seemingly very credible woman that was testifying yesterday in the Capitol, January 6th Capitol hearings. And wow, I mean, people will still say, hey, you know what? I love this mentality where you just ignore everything.
Yes, that's the thing is
assume that it's all bull.
What do you mean?
How could that be?
Well, no, not that assume it's bull. Like we're at the point where they're just ignoring it because they know it's true. Like everyone's accepted what Donald Trump. People like us knew he was this in the 70s, and I've known this literally since birth. What Donald Trump was,
beyond a childish putz. I mean, a dangerous guy.
Well, he's an evil, mean, immature criminal. I mean, that's what he's been. His whole family hated him. He's never had any contact with him until he was running for office and could make the money. And it was clear. That's not me being left guy. Like, he was a Democrat. Like, it's well known. He was friends with the Clintons. So, like, I always hated him. Like, I never liked Donald Trump. It took till now for everyone to feel that way. The problem is when he talks about the things you want from a political standpoint, we're in a world now where you go, nah, about the bad and just focus on what you like. Like, that's the world we're in now. I mean, on both sides.
If those were the only people, the people that actually raided the Capitol building that supported Donald Trump, it would still seem like a lot to me. Yes. I don't care. I mean, the economy could have been great, and there could have been world peace around. But to have a guy like that, right? You don't come to Las Vegas and talk to a man like Mo Green like that, Michael. But, I mean, just the character of this guy, I mean, maybe it's true of all politicians. I don't know, but just so despicable. The poor man's Hugh Hefner. I mean, he always seemed like he wanted to be Hugh Hefner. But Hugh Hefner, as we've talked about before, did it with a certain amount of style and an eye on the arts and things like that. Whereas this guy just seemed like he wanted to be Hugh Hefner, and he did it by waving a lot of money around with none of the style and none of the charisma that Hugh Hefner naturally possessed. And let's face it, Hugh Hefner launched, what was one of the most creative magazines or literary publications, you would have to say, no? Playboy magazine, fueled by largely nude photos of women that were not as prevalent as they were today. I mean, it was a shocker, right? When he first started putting this stuff out. But everybody talked about it, Lubie, and I don't know if you did subscribe to this theory. Because you're probably too young to have been involved heavily with, like, Playboy magazine. And, everybody had pages that stuck together there, and, you would tell your mother that you're reading it for the articles. But the articles were great. I mean, really well written by some of the most sophisticated writers, that were around at the time. And, then he innovated, a lot of other things, including that Playboy After Dark television show, which he had a lot of cool stuff go on that program, if you go back and watch its history. So it did seem like, doesn't it seem like, Trump tried to be like Hugh Hefner-esque, always showing off the babes and this and that, and, that he could get any girl and, always wanted to be Mr. Big. But this was just an unfortunately ugly portrait of a broken guy that really never had anything to begin with. I mean, not the sharpest knife in the drawer, would you say? Donald Trump? That's running your country? You got to be kidding. Now, I know Biden's a senile old man and seems to be losing it, and everybody,
but we all agree
on what's going on today. But at least it's not this, where a guy gets the advice that, hey, your supporters are carrying assault weapons into the Capitol building and looking to bust in there, and the guy just says, hey, good. You got to be kidding me. I want to go down there too. Yeah.
And that's my problem with. That's why I don't consider this being political. Whether people are going, oh, they're doing it. No, I mean, whatever side you're on, come on. Like,
Yeah, I mean,
there
if
was
that's a
always
Democrat doing it, I'm saying the same thing.
same thing. There was always some
Yeah.
sort of semblance of understanding where it's like, okay, we're getting near the edge there. I want to win, and then there's, okay, this is bad for our country. Whatever.
Yeah.
Look, and that's the thing. I haven't met a Dem that said, yeah, Biden is, like most people on both sides will say the guy's friggin' old. I don't want him running again. Like as a Democrat, don't want him running again.
I thought he couldn't win the election. I really did. When the Democrats threw him out there, I was like, you got to be kidding me.
Well,
Joe
to me,
Biden?
It's when you are blind. They're saying the things I want, so I'm going to ignore everything. That's when you get in trouble. That's called fascism. That's literally how fascists get into power is you ignore the bad they say and do and just focus on the things that you like. That's the definition of fascism. And that's how fascism takes control. No one should, it's not a sport team. It's become sports. It's not. I root for the Heat regardless. No, I don't root for any politician regardless. I don't give a shit.
I would like to see somebody that made sense, that really looked like he was competent at the job, regardless of circumstances. And not one, any one person, especially the way things are structured, is going to be able. You thought that not any single person could do this much damage.
Break it down, yeah.
But when you look at it, I mean, wow. I mean, the very core of what America was built on. I mean, people screaming about Second Amendment rights. How about just basic human rights? Where you have a guy that's so sore that he lost an election that he's willing to let this stand by, and I mean, for the most part, you would have to say that the instigation was not only sparked by Trump, but fueled by him all the way throughout, even at the point where people were saying, "No, don't do this." His own confidants were telling him, "Hey, listen, you got to get out of this thing."
Yep.
And wow, I mean, just such ugliness. Unbelievable. So that was a big. Nothing's going to be done about it, though, right?
No,
nothing, zero, right?
And that's my thing. Is my mom's all into it. I just don't. I go to the trivia last night in Pompano Beach at Vega, and I go to Ken. I'm like, so what comes from today? He's like, what happened today? That said a lot. I'm like, the Cassidy. He's like, oh, nothing. I'm like, and that's my thing. All the people on the left are screaming. All the people on the right are saying nothing, and I'm like, bingo, that's it. The fact that the people on the right are still saying nothing. Okay, so I haven't really paid attention to any of it because I know they're just going to keep trucking along. They're going to keep acting like nothing happened. And
Trump's in the background though, screaming whatever means he has to communicate with people.
But I mean,
that's all bull, and which it's just so much of this is mounting up. And then the way this story unfolded with this young lady yesterday that was testifying, publicly. And you're thinking, this isn't somebody that they just found that was willing to say anything. So, I mean, the whole idea that this woman has no credibility whatsoever seems preposterous. Why would she even subject herself to this sort of thing? I mean, if we found out later on that she was, going to buy an island somewhere with the money that they gave her from the committee, but aside from that, just a horrifying day of revelation yesterday where the weird thing is you kind of already knew this, right? Like none of it seems surprising if, as preposterous as it would seem for the president of the United States to take these positions. And
he lost fair. He actually went and tried to appeal things around the country and lost every single case.
Right.
There was one that they won because that had nothing to do with anything he was fighting for. All the stuff that he was fighting for based on that the election was fraud. Look, it was his fault. He was so worried that Dems were going to cheat, which the Dems have never cheated. It's always the Republicans who do the cheating. He was so worried they were going to cheat that he made it super secure. He did such a good job. There was no cheating. So that's my problem. It wasn't look, we found that there was hacking in the 2016 election and the Dems did nothing. The Dems are like, whatever, what are we going to do? The guy's there, screw it. They found no cheating. That was what pissed people off was they found no cheating and he was just being a spoiled brat. You can't do that. Then what is the point of voting? What's the point of voting if that's what you're going to do? When
absolutely insane, fair? Yeah. Andy points out, and this was also, mentioned that, by the witness herself, that she was a staunch Trump supporter and a conservative Republican.
Well, I mean, she was subpoenaed. A lot of people are calling her brave. She wasn't brave. This was a year and a half ago, and she went on to work for Mar-a-Lago. She's been working for Trump this entire time. So she wasn't brave. She wasn't courageous. She was subpoenaed and had to go. And outside of the Trumps, who somehow avoid the subpoenas, when you're subpoenaed by a hearing, you have to go. So she said the truth, and it was appreciated. But she's like, they're like, good for her. She's brave. She had to do it. She waited a year and a half. She worked for them this entire time, and she doesn't have the power to try and push away a subpoena. So she had to go, and that's why she did what she did. But yes,
the hippy-dippy movement, though, has gone away. It's unfortunate. Because I do believe that the pressure that was put on by various protesters, also helped lead to Nixon's resignation. Where I probably was at any number of rallies where we were saying, "Hey, this guy's got to go." Right now, people were upset about the Vietnam War, and then this Watergate thing would seem almost. I don't know that you could ever label it as trivial, but by comparison to some of the other things that were happening in the world at the time that were the legitimate source of protest, you would have not thought. It was kind of like, as you mentioned, where you had Al Capone, not in prison because he ordered the murder of like dozens of people, but because of tax evasion. So, for all the reasons that we wanted to dump Richard Nixon, the Watergate thing. All right, so he was spying on the other side. What are you going to do about that? What was trivial in comparison to some of the other atrocities that were taking place around the world that Nixon was an advocate of. But this, makes Nixon look like he was, in charm school. Are you kidding me?
Yes.
My God. Anyway, that's our political position for
there you go.
Very unpopular. Silent majority. Yeah. How can you ignore it, though? You're just looking in stunned disbelief that the country, at least, close to 50% of them, still would vote for this guy and say, you know what, we had it good then. Gas was $2 a gallon.
Yeah, I'm sure he would be handling all this stuff so well. No. Come on. This stuff would so
come. A nut, self-indulgent nut. My God. All right. We're coming back with more. Dave Hyde. He's going to straighten out a few things for us on the local sports scene, including, I would imagine he was all over this stuff, possible rumors of Heat transactions involving Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant.
There you go.
Which, as it turns out, had 0.0 possibility of ever transpiring. And were the sources of wild and rampant speculation as to what that might do to the Heat and the organization. Now, most people would have been in favor of getting Durant, and most people would think, hey, as exciting a ball player as Kyrie Irving can be, he, is not the kind of guy that is going to necessarily benefit the organization in the long haul. Fair statement?
Yep.
I didn't expect Kyle Lowry to be out of shape as a member of the Miami Heat.
Most people didn't. No, people are very upset about that move. He actually played pretty big in the playoffs that time, so I didn't expect much from him, and I think this is the year that we may see a different Lowry. But yes, it was very disappointing. He talked a lot of stuff, and he didn't back it up.
All right. Dolphins on the horizon. The precipice, the preface actually of going to precipice. The preface of going. Using a lot of big words. I have no idea.
The precipice is right. They're on the precipice of the training camp.
Going to training camp there, and you heard from Brett Tesser yesterday saying that the Dolphins should be one of the surprise teams who won the offseason and should accomplish something of significance this year. I can't imagine that number. Did it change at all? Are they still 8 and a hook over or under for the season? Win total seems very, very.
Greek keeps seeing 9 and a hook. I've never seen it. I've looked it up multiple times, and I say 8 and a hook every time.
And you would think the Greek would find somebody that was, in line with Tony.
Well, he thinks they'll win 10. He thinks they're over regardless. So that's why the 9 and hook doesn't bother him, because he thinks they're going to at least win 10 games.
How do they not win 10 games? I guess they would be 10-7. Is that really a lot to ask?
No,
that's for a team that traded its entire draft this year for Tyreek Hill. Already has Waddle, who looked like he was emerging as the second coming of Tyreek Hill. Maybe even a little bit better. I don't know. Tyreek Hill, it's hard to say that the guy's going to be better, but rookie season indicators, were they not strong for Jalen Waddle? Come on.
He wasn't Chase, but he had a really good year, and they put a lot of money into this team. They should win 10 games or more. Anything less is a failure, 100%, even for a new coach.
Not discussed a lot, too. Probably of more significance is whatever they did along the offensive line. If it works, which on paper and in theory, you would have to think you got better offensive linemen in free agency than you had at 40% of the positions that you have along the offensive line, and you probably had 2 or 3 good guys.
Well, they had the one guy.
The offensive line in general was, considered to be very weak.
No, it was Robert Scott. They had one lineman that was legit, and then they brought in 2. So at least now you should have 3 out of 5 that you can count on, which they haven't had since the 90s.
And a new coach. Okay, Brian Flores. I don't know that I ever really. I was struggling to figure out how he was winning all of those games. I really was. I couldn't characterize what Brian Flores' coaching style was. Could you? Did he have like a definitive style where you could say, okay, this is what this guy likes to do? I don't know. It seemed like he hated his quarterback, and kind of limited the offense based on the fact that, and maybe that was because he was right about Tua. That's possible. We may find that out. Can you force Tua to be a better quarterback? Maybe that's as good as it gets. Is that possible, Lubie?
Oh, you're talking to the wrong guy. I think doing everything you can to not help him doesn't show that's what he is. Like, I'm not asking you to do the thing that Tesla kept wanting for Tannehill. I don't need him to have. Then now he has elite talent. I just need him to have average talent. He didn't have that. Yeah. He had bottom rung NFL talent everywhere. I don't care if you're Tom Brady. We've seen when Tom Brady doesn't have an offensive line, Tom Brady looks like ass. So
yes.
I mean, like even the Patriots would always have at least something good, whether it was a Randy Moss or running backs, or he had nothing across the entire offense. So, and then they would throw him a crappy offensive coordinator. Here, come here, Chan. We know you're at the retirement home. Go run an offense for the first time in 5 years. Okay. Come on.
Yeah, let's dig up some guy from the grave that was, offensive coordinator for, Woody Hayes at Ohio State.
Okay. Maybe he didn't like Tua, but he wanted to prove it. He wanted to make sure you knew Tua sucked. Okay, well, you did it. Good job, Flo.
Good job, yeah. All right, we're going to run here because we have Dave Hyde coming up, Sun Sentinel sports columnist, very authoritative, and knowledgeable in all areas of the sporting world. And, been doing a great job here on the local scene for a long, long time, known nationally as well with the syndication of his column that's frequently happened. So we'll have Dave Hyde on in a sec. We want to tell you about Hialeah Park and the great things going on there. Looking forward to my next session down there, Hialeah Park. Always great. The Champion Simulcasting Room, one of my favorite rooms anywhere in the world. I mean, you could be in any amount of luxury, some suite in a fancy hotel. There's nothing quite like the vibe that you get, and the fact that you can wager on all of the great horse racing action around the world in the Champion Simulcasting Room at Hialeah Park. I like to belly up to the Brass Rail Bar there. Lubie did that. He saw what that was all about. Very reasonably priced drinks. Great service. Everybody with a smile on their face and making you feel like you're right at home at Hialeah Park, which is what they want you to feel. I mean, they communicate this whole atmosphere very, very well. I mean, they really make it happen there at Hialeah Park. You feel like family. You feel like you're at home. The casino is always rocking. Those Royal Reels are paying off at just dynamic proportions. Incredible. Steve Calabro wouldn't have it any other way. He wants you to get in there with a chance to win. Machines in the Harrah's in New Orleans, and I would have to say, kind of brick city there, Lubie, as evidenced by my negative bankroll when I got back. First losing casino trip in a while. So I can't complain, but, I would have much rather been playing at Hialeah Park, where I always feel like I have a chance to win. And then, of course, the poker room is just extremely well run, very professionally done. So if you're a poker fan, which many, many people are, get out there to Hialeah Park, try out their poker room. They have all kinds of things going on with high hand jackpots and bad beats and all of the things you would find in other casinos. They ramp it up a notch and just do a tremendous job with that. Always a great atmosphere in terms of food and drink as well, and special events happening. I have a big July 4th thing going on, Lubie, on Monday with all kinds of special discounts on food, burgers, hot dogs. It's going to be like your own family barbecue with a chance to wager on a lot of things as well, including the horses in Champions. That'll be a big day of racing on Monday. So looking forward to that. And get out there, take advantage of all the great food and drink bargains they have going on the July 4th celebration at beautiful Hialeah Park. All right, now we're back with Dave Hyde in just a sec here on the Defo Show on South Florida Live. Back with Mike Lubie Lubitz in a moment. Now that. Ponies in Style at Champions, the outstanding simulcasting room at beautiful Hialeah Park. Yes, the grand old lady of thoroughbred racing has never been more vibrant, and you can wager on the races from the top tracks around the country while enjoying a cocktail at the Brass Rail Bar or any of the fine food served throughout the facility. If poker is your game, you're covered in style, and you can play all your favorite Vegas-style games, including blackjack, craps, and roulette, in Hialeah Park's sizzling hot casino. Get a player's card when you walk through the door for all kinds of generous amenities, including our favorite, free play, when you come out to the ultimate casino and entertainment destination, Hialeah Park.
Hey folks, Tony Segreto here. You know, since day one, Catholic Health Services has been part of Old School. And since we've started letting people know about them, it's changed their lives. You see, Catholic Health Services, while being recognized as one of the top places for stroke rehab in the country, it's also about a group of people who not just excel in what they do, from the doctors to the nurses to the therapist, on and on and on. It's how they do what they do every single day that separates them from the pack. They do it with a passion, unmatched, and the inclusion of family in every step of the process. Trust me when I tell you this. If you want the best, unmatched rehab with a special group of skilled, caring people, there is truly only one place, and that one place is Catholic Health Services.
These days, we're all looking for comfort anywhere we can find it. Thank goodness for Landlubbers Raw Bar and Grill in the Plantation location, because they are making sure you are as comfortable as possible. First of all, they're not only open for delivery and pickup. All you have to do is go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both pickup and free delivery. Their hours have changed a little bit. Monday through Thursday from 3:30 to 10, and Friday, Saturday, and Sunday from 11:30 to 10. You're going to have the best wings in the world. You're going to have a great burger. You're going to have their amazing soups. Again, Landlubbers, Raw Bar and Grill. It's nice and easy. Just go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both your pickup and free delivery. Thank goodness for Landlubbers for making you always feel right at home.
On the local scene, the Heat, of course, making changes. I read a very encouraging article about the Heat's prospects. Not to win the championship so much, but to at least be a very, very big factor in the Eastern Conference, Mike Lubie Lubitz. You'll be happy to note that somebody actually agreed with your opinion.
A lot of people said that. They have an interesting team, and like you said, they're the toughest team in the NBA. You wouldn't want to meet this team down an alley.
No, I mean, a team that's going to treat everybody the way Tyson treated Mitch Blood Green if they meet in an alley.
The best way to kick off your day is with Defo plus Lubie. We now return to the Defo Show.
All right, welcome back to the show. I was just trying to look something up here. Dave Hyde, a late scratch right now. As of now, we're going to try and catch up with Dave Hyde later, as he had something pop up that precluded him from being able to join us here on the show. Looking forward to talking to Dave. We had discussed at length and was curious to get more of an inside opinion, since Dave is very much on top of his Heat coverage and the things that transpire inside the organization. I don't know. I mean, how much interest could they have had in acquiring Kyrie Irving? Do you think that Jimmy Butler, how much influence? I'm thinking closer to none in terms of influence. How conscious do you think Pat Riley is of like player desires? What do you think? Is he making any of his decisions? You would imagine that Jimmy Butler at least has established enough turf with the Heat that he's so bought into the organizational philosophy and been, a great practitioner of everything that the Heat embellishes and embraces and is all about in the way that they want to run this organization from both a business and a playing standpoint, right? The guy's going to work harder than anybody else. He's going to take losing as if it was tantamount to death. He's going to rise to the occasion when necessary for the most part. Put on a sensational performance in the postseason on more than one occasion. And what was really the main impetus in the Heat riding its way all the way to Game 7 of the Eastern Conference Final. And who knows what would have happened. It seemed like Golden State was going to win the championship anyway, but, you would have liked to have been there as a representative. But that was largely based on the whole sort of metronomic presence on the high end of Jimmy Butler. Yep. Do you think that Riley would have taken Butler's feelings and thoughts into consideration before he said, hey, Jimmy, or did he just bypass that? If he wanted Kyrie Irving, he was going to do it no matter what, even if Butler was going to be pissed. What do you think?
Supposedly Kyrie Butler has talked about in the past he'd love to play with Kyrie Irving. Now, that was before this last year where Irving really hit his zenith in being Kyrie Irving. But I think Riley makes the moves how Riley wants to make the moves, but he has a different respect for Butler than I think he's had for anyone not named Dwayne Wade. Like,
Yeah.
Scoop talked about it Monday. People keep asking, why is Riley sticking around? Ethan sort of said it bluntly. He wants Jimmy Butler to win a title. He feels like because Jimmy Butler came down there, because Jimmy Butler is taking his game to another level, because Jimmy Butler, the stuff Jimmy Butler did this postseason was pure Heat Nick stuff. Like, he was done. He should not have been playing in that series. And not only he played out of his freaking mind those last 3 games. And they almost went to the finals because of Jimmy Butler. Like, he wasn't getting any help. Tucker and Lowry and Hero were all banged up, not playing well. Robinson wasn't even involved. Struz couldn't hit the side of a barn. Vincent, like, everyone had dropped their level, and they still almost beat a team that almost beat the Warriors. So,
Yeah.
like, Riley has this crazy respect for Butler, and he wants to make sure either he's there when Butler wins a title or he sets them up in a way where Butler will win a title. Like, Skolnick said that, and Skolnick's talked to a lot of people in the organization, if not Riley himself. And this is a clear, they don't feel bad saying this. Like, Riley wants to make sure Jimmy Butler wins a title. So, and I've never heard him say that about any player. Like, even LeBron, he didn't say that. Like, Butler has really entrenched himself in this Heat culture, Heat lifer thing, to the point where Riley would for sure talk with Irving. And again, Butler has a very similar mentality to the Heat, where he doesn't want to get involved in the stuff. So if Butler had something to say, it's because it probably was sensible and logical.
I'm not sure if that was even close to consideration.
No, it was never. They didn't want Irving.
Yeah.
None of them. No one wanted Irving. Even, but like, no one on the Heat wanted Irving.
Irving obviously wasn't going to go anywhere because when faced with the possibility of joining the Lakers, whom he embraced, and reconnecting with LeBron James, where he won a championship with LeBron with the Cleveland Cavaliers. You would have thought, okay, I mean, there was your opportunity, but as we said, 36 million versus 6 million. I don't care who you are and what it is that you're doing, unless it involves some kind of moral question like the Saudi tour money. This is the NBA, which probably should involve some moral questions, right? What about that Chinese money there, Lubie?
Yeah, exactly.
But he's talking about that. I mean, if Monahan is running the NBA, are they not taking any kind of action from the Chinese? Do you think?
Of course.
You think he's getting any Chinese money in the
Sure.
PGA Tour? Are they manufacturing golf clubs now? Though that's more a Japanese thing. Putting that together. But yeah, I mean, I don't know that the Heat ever really were going to go out of their way to get Kyrie Irving. Kevin Durant, on the other hand, LeBron James is a guy that the minute he's on another team, they become better. I don't care what team it is, and I don't care what stage of his career it is. Even now, the minute LeBron James is on another team, they're a better team.
Mm-hmm.
I've maintained this throughout, and if you were looking for the ultimate measuring stick about a player, that's it. I don't know. I mean, does a team immediately become a better team with Kyrie Irving?
Oh, Irving.
And is Kyrie Irving enough in and of himself? Whereas LeBron James, you could, I mean, he didn't have scrubs here when he had Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh. He had, although I don't know, is Bosh, in your estimation, the Basketball Hall of Fame stature is a little crazy because there's only one Basketball Hall of Fame.
Yes.
And includes anybody that was ever involved in a game.
Mm-hmm.
Right? There's no NBA Hall of Fame.
It's a weird thing.
So the standards are different.
Yes.
Different, I mean, is Chris Bosh, I guess, by the overall standard of the game, probably is a Hall of Famer, no?
Yes.
Hard to debate.
To me, I mean, he won a lot with the Heat. He was a key cog with the Heat, and
he wasn't that great down here, but he was great with Toronto. I would say that, yeah.
So the combination to me, he's a Hall of Famer. It's weird though, because that's the thing is a guy like Tracy McGrady who had a 3 or 4 year run where he was a monster, but then the rest of his career he was hurt. To me, he's not a Hall of Famer, but because of the basketball thing, they fooled themselves into saying he's a Hall of Famer. So the basketball Hall of Fame thing is a little strange.
Qualifications are weird. I believe Butch Comives is a Hall of Famer.
Probably.
For what he did at Bowling Green. He was a hell of a shooter there. Ask Jim Larinaga, who was very familiar with the guy because he coached at Bowling Green, and Comives was a legendary. He sucked with the Knicks, okay? He sucked. The only thing he did for the Knicks, he was involved in a trade with the Pistons for Dave DeBusschere. And by the way, Knicks and the Pistons, are the Pistons just, are they making up for that DeBusschere deal from years ago? Because they are like fleecing the Knicks at this point. The Knicks just sent them. This is great. I don't know. Is this something that any league would give a pass to? Where the Knicks just traded 2 players, 2 future draft picks, and sent $6 million in cash to the Pistons and got nothing in return. How is that possible? Don't you at least have to throw in a token, conditional future second-round pick to make the trade? How do you trade for nothing? Where they just give you, I mean, it was what? Alec
You have to make
Burks,
salary. You have to make
Nerlens
salaries work.
Noel. They're dumping
Yeah.
salary so they can get this guy
Yeah,
Brunson from the Dallas
You
Mavericks.
have to make salaries work for a trade. So they had to have gotten something that really sucked, but had a really crappy contract.
What
in
could it have
return.
been? I didn't see anything in return. I was reading about the details of this deal.
Well, 'cause
Alec Burks, Nerlens Noel, 2 second-round picks, and $6 million for nobody. Not even a
Yeah, you
player to
can't-
be named later.
No, you can't do. Or then maybe they gave them money. Like you have to, the money has to work. Like that's the whole point. That's the reason why Duncan Robinson is involved in all these trades with the Heat, because he has a ridiculous contract. So
Yeah.
it can make a lot of the money work if a team's if a superstar wants to leave and the Heat give them young talent and they give them draft picks, which is what they want. If you're rebuilding, the money still has to match for a Donovan Mitchell or a Bradley.
Wouldn't you have
Beal. So
to
Robinson
trade
does-
a guy, that was, you knew was going to retire or something? I mean, I didn't see anything going in return. If you can check that trade out for
I'll
me,
look.
Lubie, I don't want to be talking through
I'm
my
sure what they got back sucked.
through my
so
ass
that's why
here.
I'm sure they got back sucked, so that's why because we all know from the Knicks' perspective it's about Jalen Brunson, so no one cares what they got back. But to my knowledge, you have to make the money work. Like it has to be. either equal
What
or
if
close.
Mark Cuban comes to Jalen Brunson and says, "Listen, you're not going anywhere, kid. You're going to own a piece of the team
Well,
eventually." Because the Knicks went ahead and hired Jalen Brunson's father as an assistant coach.
Yes.
You think that's an indicator that they're serious about
no,
this?
they
move?
went all in. They've done everything known to man to get.
How is
Brunson.
that not like in its own way a token of tampering? I mean, where's Adam Silver on this?
No,
You don't
you're
see
right.
the writing on the wall there, Adam? I mean, do we have to point it out to you? This is just like the people that are ignoring whatever it is that we're discovering in the Capitol January 6th hearings and saying, you know what, Donnie's still my man. I tell you what. That tax break he gave everybody. I did appreciate the $2,000, Donald Trump there. Remember when he gave everybody like a $2,000
Yes, the
tax break?
stimulus. Yes, yes. Oh, the tax break. Yes, yes.
No,
yes.
it wasn't a stimulus package.
Yeah, the tax break thing. Yeah.
Tax break was good. Yeah, that was good. I mean, and my account, a very respectable guy, was a big fan and advocate saying this guy was doing a lot of good for people. But Meshuggah, I don't want to get off on all of that. But yeah, this Brunson, I mean, is that not tampering, right? Where you hired a guy's father as an assistant coach. I guess that in and of itself would not be,
do you mean?
overwhelmingly outrageous.
Okay.
But should you not have to answer for that as if it was, some kind of recruiting violation in college if you're an
Well,
NBA team?
it's-
And tampering is such a big issue that if Pat Riley even says, you know what, I like LeBron, boom, tampering, 250, Mickey.
Well, that's the thing is it's the pros, so you can do whatever you want. You just can't actually mention it. You understand it goes deeper than that. Leon Rose, their president,
Yeah,
is his former agent, and his current agent is Leon Rose's son,
yes.
who I'm sure is highly involved in the Knicks as well. So it's not even tampering. It's like we know what the deal is. The problem is Mark Cuban is playing hardball, and that's dumb. Like you just said it, everything's set up for him to go to New York. He wants to go to New York, and the Mavs said at max they're giving him $22 million a year max, which is what the Knicks offer is for him to stay there, be somewhere he doesn't want to be. Like if you're gonna try and keep
Will
him,
the Knicks ever
gotta
be
give him
that
more.
great again? That's a good
not-
question.
oh, I don't know, not right now. This
Are
move
they, are
doesn't
they
make them great.
within any reasonable distance of being a championship team? They had the
No,
big
no,
year
no,
a couple of years ago. Their main impetus there, the main catalyst was Julius Randle having a marvelous season, and then he sort of wasn't as
Regressed
good
to the
this
mean.
past year,
Yeah,
right?
regress back to the mean.
So he regressed. You have R.J. Barrett, who showed
Good, but
signs
not
of
great.
life, but I don't know. Are you really overwhelmingly excited about R.J. Barrett being a leader of your team?
No.
Not to say that he couldn't develop into something like that. We've seen guys, I as good as DeMar DeRozan was, I didn't know he was going to ever play as well as he did this year with San Antonio. Right? I mean, DeMar DeRozan was a dynamic player with the Toronto Raptors, and then he ends up with the Spurs.
Well, and then this year with the Bulls. The Bulls this year, the first half, he was
And the Bulls
leading
this year,
front
yeah,
of
he was
MVP.
great. Yeah.
But then again, even he regressed to the mean. Like that's it. Like the Knicks are an interesting situation. They're putting together a lot of really good, cool players. So they should be, I guess, like an 8 to 10 seed. but they're not better than the Hawks. They're not better than the Raptors. They're not better than the Heat. They're not better than the Celtics. They're not better than the Bucks. They're not better than the Nets. Like going and putting this money toward a Brunson, at least it's better than getting Irving. Like he'll play and he'll play hard and he'll represent your team well, but he's not a 1 or a 2 on a real winner. He was the second best player for the Mavs, and the Mavs should have got swept by the Warriors. Like he's like you're a 3rd to 4th best player on a winning team. And
he showed good signs and instincts. He was definitely an offensive impetus. Yeah, when he came on the floor, he did very, very well. Impressive in that Dallas series. He in and of himself, not enough to turn a franchise around. That has been sort of staggering there in semi mediocrity and even sub mediocrity for many, many years. And that's the other thing. I mean, do the Heat need to do something to be championship contenders again, or do they already? I mean, is it a question of just getting Kyle Lowry into better shape to play better basketball? He's now a year older, and I think, as we saw maybe with the Serena match,
I mean that's important.
That when an athlete gets to that point in their career where they're up there in years by the standard of the game. And then on top of that, they spent some time towards the end of their career when they were still playing at a reasonably high level, not in great condition. Does that take a toll on an athlete that is now approaching what would have to be by sporting standards, somewhat of a bit of old age? For Serena not being in shape for the last couple of years, did that compromise her chances of coming back? You would have to think yes. Would you not, Mike Lubie Lubitz?
Yes. And it's the same thing with Lowry.
And Lowry, playing last year out of shape the whole year and being in and out with hamstring injuries and things like that. And having for Pat Riley to single that out as a thing that needs to change.
Yeah, he was. Yep.
I mean, imagine Riley was probably fuming.
Well, no, because look, the reality is, and you just said it, like if he was going, and it's my same thing with Serena, and it's why even though I have some hope for Lowry, it's why it's very minimal. Like if he or she was going to be in shape, wouldn't they have done it now? Like if Serena was going to be in shape, wouldn't this have been her moment? If Lowry was going to be in shape, prove I still have something left.
Sure.
Wouldn't this have been the year? Like if he's in shape, they may have won a title. The reason I didn't think they would have been the Warriors was because it was Jimmy Butler and a bunch of fans by the end of it. Like if Lowry's not in, if Lowry's the guy we saw in Toronto be the best player, at the end of the series, it wasn't Leonard a lot of the time. At the end of that series versus the Warriors, and yes, they didn't have Durant or Thompson, but Lowry's the one that was like carrying them across the finish line to win that title. And that's why Lowry got it, because up until that point, he was like guy that messed around in the playoffs. That playoff run was when Lowry was like, come on, goddammit, come on. So like, if he could have done it, wouldn't it been this year? Like, so that's
you would have thought this was a big opportunity for him, especially since everybody was saying, "Well, geez, Kyle Lowry, he's up there in years.
Yep.
What does he have left in the tank?" You thought he might be a much more steadying influence on the Miami Heat. I don't know that people anticipated coming out of year number 2 that Tyler Hero would be the 6th man of the year and play a dynamic role in a regular season, but then only to have him somewhat and now. Maybe injuries were part of the reason for it. I'm sure you could say that he was compromised. He was in and out of the lineup towards the end, but did not have anywhere close to the postseason that he had indicated he would when he played so well during the regular season. Looked like he was going to be a major force. And Jimmy Butler is not a player that's going to carry a team by himself to a championship. So some real question marks there. Whether the Heat need to make a move. Now here's another wild move that is hard to judge because we don't know what this guy's got left. John Wall going to the Clippers. Lubie, what did you think about that? John Wall.
Well, the funny thing is he wanted to come here, and by all accounts, the Heat didn't want him, which is interesting to me. I wouldn't have wanted him for 40-something million a year.
Yeah.
But if he can work out a favorable contract, I mean, I get he hasn't played. Is it 3 years? Like, I don't know the last time he played regularly, 4 years. So you don't know what he is health wise and what his motivation is. But if anything's going to get a guy motivated, it's being thrown to the garbage can. So I wanted him, but I guess they really liked the Lowry Vincent thing. And by all accounts, that's why he's in LA. Is he would have liked to be with the Heat. The Heat didn't want him. I don't know. I think
so now he's got Paul George and supposedly Kawhi Leonard.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's an interesting, I mean, it would be a big 3 except for the fact that the Clippers are the redheaded stepchild of the Lakers and generate zero news no matter what they're doing. Paul George showed some real flashes of brilliance at times last year. Kawhi Leonard, we know, can be brilliant, and John Wall is also very capable. I mean, you would think if he was playing kind of a secondary role to those two guys, even if he's been compromised by being out of basketball more than he's been in the last couple of years, that he could find a way to employ his skills in a very favorable fashion. In that arrangement, no? I mean, would that not make them better contenders? The fact they got John Wall, if he can do anything close to what we were accustomed to seeing from him when he was playing so many years in Washington. All right, Jimmy Johnson's Big Show, they never disappoint. Why are we talking NBA basketball and free agency, Libby? How did you get
I don't
me
know.
on that?
If you notice, I just sat back. I'm like, this is amazing. We got into NBA free agent talk because of Defo.
Well, philosophical, organizational positions kind of interest me, especially when you're talking about Pat Riley. And I would think that anybody would have jumped on the opportunity to acquire Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant has been sensational, the last couple of years. After sitting out a year, he came back. I mean, the guy was averaging like 29.3 points a game, shooting 50% from the field, over 40% from three-point range. He's not, even though he's thin and has that Holmgren type body, although only 6'10". But he's not a lightweight when it comes to going inside.
No.
Not afraid to get in there and grab a couple of rebounds and block a shot or two. And and as Mike Vaccaro pointed out in his article yesterday in the New York Post, the guy goes about his business in a very professional fashion. He may be a little bit weird on Twitter once in a while, and everybody goes, "Oh, what's up with Durant?" And a lot of people think he's finicky, and they thought he was a baby for going to Golden State, that he wasn't a man enough, to lead a team on his own, not confident enough. So he went and played with the winners, right? Hey, can I run it with you guys? Yeah, okay. Right? You're going to hold the court all night long.
Yeah, we'd all do it.
You don't have to do anything. You can just chuck at your leisure because the team is like so much better than everybody else that's out there. You want to be on that team. I mean, what's wrong with wanting to be on a winning team? I'm not sure that is something that an athlete should be condemned for because he didn't go to, Orlando to try to win a championship. If you believe in all of this rhetoric that goes on about front offices, I mean, aren't organizations somewhat responsible for putting? I mean, do organizations ever really? I guess it happens from time to time where an organization that's run in a bozoic fashion by a bunch of fools somehow wins a championship. I don't know that that happens, right? Golden State's been a very well-run organization for a long period of time now. Now they happen to acquire some great players, but maybe that was part of their ingenuity. A lot of people could have had Steph Curry. No, what was it, number seventh pick?
Seventh pick. Yep.
Okay, so there were clubs that had to, maybe I don't remember who was in that draft at the very top, but there were clubs that certainly had a decision to make and made the wrong one.
Yep.
When it came to Steph Curry. And the book on him was, if you were going to read the old Joel Bushbaum capsulization of, a draft guy, which was one of my favorite things to plagiarize, by the way, Lubie, and I can admit to this now, because Bushbaum checked out at a very young age, Joel Bushbaum. But he had that guide to the draft. He was one of the original guys. He was a long-time football writer. I believe the Sporting News was his platform, which was a, much more prominent publication for sports fans. There was a lot less information out there. We had no internet or anything like that. In fact, you used to write with like, a sledgehammer and a little pick on stone. We wrote on tablets back then. But, he would capsulize every draft pick. And then when Joe Zagacki and I were working at IOD, and Joe Z was the master of the draft show, we would have these features we put together on virtually anybody that had even the slightest chance of being drafted either by the Dolphins or anywhere in the first round. So what do we know about any of these guys? Nothing, right? You had far less college football on TV, and Bushbaum would have these characterizations of every draft pick, but they always included the examination and sort of assessment of body parts. And that's how people could have known that you were plagiarizing his work. Because why would I, be including in a feature? Well, he has a rather round buttocks, which can be advantageous to his low center of gravity. It's like, wow, what is that, man? we talking astrophysics here, or about some
Astrophysics.
fat slob that weighs 320 and is going to block on the interior of the offensive line for a team that's going to go nowhere? But it seemed brilliant at the time. You used to plagiarize that. But if you were going to, capsulize, the ability of different people in the draft. And by the way, you can get 80 to 1, Lubie, on this. What's the guy's name that we drafted? Nikola Jovic. Jovic, not Jokic. Just off by one letter, Lube.
I know, one letter.
Could have had this guy.
He went higher. Jokic was in the middle of the second round. This guy went in late first. So he should be a monster.
The Steph Curry thing, though, would have said what? All of them were universally in agreement that the body was too slight, probably to take the beating on a regular basis in the NBA.
So the top of that draft,
this guy was suspect.
Number 1 was Blake Griffin, and again, if you go off of the first 6 to 8 years of Blake Griffin's career, he was a monster. He was an MVP candidate.
Yeah.
The Clippers were a contender. The guy was legit, like an all-NBA player. Okay. That was the draft. The second pick was Hasheem Thabeet.
Did he have, before he got started, did Blake Griffin have that microfracture surgery?
That was
out
of Oklahoma. Oklahoma, he missed like his last, like he was hurt at Oklahoma, came in, got hurt early, and then kept getting hurt. Like that was his issue. But Hasheem Thabeet out of UConn was the second overall pick.
No.
You had James Harden as a third overall pick. So again, at least he's great. Tyreek Evans was the 4th pick in that draft. And then I think that's when Tyreek Evans. He was good for the Kings, but he was never Curry. And then that's when you had Rubio and you had Johnny Flynn, I think.
Oh my God, you're right. Yeah, nice call there with Johnny Flynn out of Syracuse. Who was the general manager that took Johnny Flynn over Steph Curry?
Rubio might have
That's
been
where it breaks down. Now, Rubio had a big reputation, and he was only like 15 years old, wasn't he, when he started playing
football?
Football?
I think Rubio was the draft before. That's what it was. The T-Wolves already had Rubio.
Yeah.
And
they took Johnny
Instead
Flynn?
of getting Curry, who at least because Rubio, remember, he couldn't shoot, but was a great ball handler.
Yeah.
That was Curry's problem. He wasn't really a point guard. He was a shooter. Okay, cool. So pair Curry with Rubio. No. They went Johnny Flynn a second point guard over Steph Curry, who the Knicks would have drafted. That would have been the first time the Knicks would have got something right. But the Knicks were at 8, and Curry went 7.
Wow. They couldn't have traded up. Imagine Curry is a Knick. Wow.
Yeah,
if he could have played it. Now, you never know how a guy's going to perform if he starts out with a different organization. I mean, that could be true of, especially so with quarterbacks in the NFL. You can't imagine, though, that Steph Curry would have been much less of a player if he was drafted by the Knicks, could you? Could the Knicks have ruined Steph Curry's career?
Oh, yes.
Possible, right?
100%.
A guy that can shoot like that from 50 feet, though, I mean, is going to be a dynamic player.
Figures it out.
Yeah. Well, would they have let him do his thing, though? Or would they have tried to discipline him into being just more of a straight-up shooter?
Exactly.
Right? Never mind all those dipsy doodle moves through the paint there. Hey, Steph, you're going to throw the ball to somebody else or what? They might have been giving him the business.
Steph. They would have ruined him.
Could have. It's possible. Dolphins have ruined many players.
Yes, they have.
Attempted to over the years. So we'll see what happens. All right. Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill, mile marker 104. That's the Overseas Highway in Key Largo. And it is a dynamite, absolutely great place to go. You're going to love it. It's a great place to watch the sporting events. I mean, if you're out there right now and you're watching a little Wimbledon on the fresh cut lawn here, just pristine conditions at Wimbledon in the early rounds. Now, is that Joker out there already? Is that possible? Playing this early against this guy Kokonakis. Yeah, it is. It's a Joker. You could be watching this. This is no walkover for Djokovic today, Lubie. This kid Kokonakis is an Australian. He's playing pretty well. So, and a very similar style player. So, it could be an interesting match. Anyway, could be watching it at Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill, chilling out with a margarita. Maybe a little floater on top, a little shot of your favorite tequila, and a nice ice-cold drink. And then you're thinking, you know what, I've sucked down a couple of these. Maybe I'll get something to eat. How about the nachos or one of their great, really, you talk about custom pizzas. These are pizzas nobody else has ever even conceived of, and they're so great. It's Dominic Congemi. I mean, he should be hailed in Italy as one of the pioneers of the unusual pizza, including the Italian fisherman there, where we got to get Mayo to chomp down. The problem is we might have to order 2 if Mayo's with us, the way he's been eating lately. What do you think?
Oh, no. I mean,
Lubie, you and I share one with whomever happens to be at the table. We get a whole one for Mike Mayo. No?
That's what I was gonna say. I don't know if we can just share a pie.
The three of us. Mayo's eating half of it at least.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
That would not be that easy to do because that thing was loaded like one slice, and you were pretty much needing a standing 8 count when it came to eating the rest of the day. That's how good it is. I mean, and every bite just absolutely scrumptious and delicious. All of their pizzas. Lubie had one with a fried egg on it, a breakfast pizza. Amazing. Yeah, I mean, we sampled some really good stuff when we were down there talking to Jimmy and had him on the show. So we're looking forward to doing that again, and we hope you guys will be out there. If you are in the Keys or thinking about making a little time to go down there, always a great weekend. July 4th weekend will be a big celebration there. They'll have bands going all day and all kinds of entertainment. You're chilling out right there on the bay. Beautiful piece of property. You can't help but feel peaceful and like you've had an epiphany, like you've found the meaning of life. And some great food and drink when you go down to Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill. Accommodations at jimmyjohnsonsbigchill.com. Check that out. Absolutely magnificent. I mean, beyond spectacular. Your wildest imagination can't conceive of how great the accommodations are at Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill. And it's the kind of place you can go like if you and your neighbors want to jog down to the Keys. You got plenty of room in one of these places, to stash like two families, actually. Just really, really a sensational place to stay, as well as hang out all day. Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill, mile marker 104, the Overseas Highway in Key Largo. All right, we're coming back with more. No connection, Dave Hyde. That's a final scratcheroo.
He said he had a lot of stuff thrown at him. So right now, that is a no, but hopefully we can reschedule the one and only Dave Hyde.
They're probably looking for the last chapter of the book, right? Hey, Dave, you going to finish this thing? It's coming out soon. His book with Jimmy Johnson. Speaking of Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill. And that'd be great. You know what? When we go down there in the future, we'll have to have Dave join us down there. And he and Jimmy can get together and talk about the book. That'll be a great, great thing. Because that sounds like it's going to be super interesting. Also, I don't know. We have to get a copy of Mike Westhoff's book.
Yes. That's what I meant to ask him the last time. We had him on, and I'll try and have him on again when camp starts and get an actual copy so we can, read. I mean,
he was asking me if I had a chance to read it yet, and I have to say, Mike, if you're listening.
I'm not buying it. If you want to give it to us, we'll read it.
It's not a common practice for us
to
buy a book, is it?
I have hundreds of books that I was given that I didn't read. I don't start buying one.
I brought a book with me on the plane to Italy. I thought I might do a little reading. I didn't read one word, not one single word.
Well, the problem is I used to do it and it used to work because I could only listen to my music or the selections suck. But if you're on a longer flight, they've gotten... Well, you had a short flight too, but the selections, if they have TV, have gotten so much better that I never get around to the book.
Yeah. I gotta relay that. Speaking of books here, this was sent to me by the lovely and talented one because of my obsession with the Lucky Dog. And there's a book about it called Managing Ignatius. And it's a Pulitzer Prize winning book. Oh, it's called The Confederacy of Dunces is the name of the book. Confederacy of Dunces.
Wow.
And it's a book about lucky dog vendors, believe it or not. Essentially. Yeah. Written by this guy, a very avant-garde type of writer, obviously solid enough to win a Pulitzer Prize for the best novel. And Confederacy of Dunces now has become a must-read. We're going to have to send a copy to Mayo. Since, you know what's weird about him, too? He'll make a face about the Lucky Dog, which is sensational, and then drag us to Skyline Chili.
I let him. I swear I thought that, and I just kept it to myself. I was like, "Isn't he the guy that likes Skyline? Like, you can't tell me it's worse than Skyline."
He makes a face at Acme Oyster House. There's a reason that the people, literally, like 6 o'clock on Sunday night, they were lined up around the block, man. I mean, all the way to Canal Street. It was incredible to get in there. Now, if you're going to wait an hour and a half to go to a joint, it's not because you're a stupid tourist with a bunch of Mickey Mouse ears on your head. It's because it's good. And then he tells us to go to the Cafe Du Monde, where they wait around the block for, just an average thing there. Nothing special at rip-off prices. How weird is this guy? I don't know.
He's all over the place, Mayo.
He really is, man. The Lucky Dog, he condemned it, though. But the Confederacy of Dunces sounds like a fascinating book. That may be one I'm going to have to actually go out and read. Louie, how about that?
There you
71. Yeah. My goal between the year of 71 and 72, if I make it that far, is to actually read a book of some kind of intellectual level. What do you think? Confederacy of Dunces about the lucky dog vendors?
I mean, I don't know if
Sounds like my
that's
cup of tea.
highly intellectual, but sure.
Well, I mean, apparently these lucky dog vendors were, just, I mean, a wild, and you could see this when you go on Bourbon Street, a wild assemblage of characters from different walks of life. I mean, you had homeless people doing it. You had musicians doing it. Hookers. I mean, whatever you could find. At one point in time, they were like a lucky dog vendor.
It's funny.
Right, so he talks about all of this. I mean, that's kind of where the book is at. There, it's a very interesting character portrait. So and that's my kind of game, right, Lubie? Maybe we can pick up a few things by reading this book. We got to read Westhoff's book though, but I don't know, Mike. You got to send us a copy, probably. Right? I don't think that's the way he's working it.
I know he didn't offer.
Guys going out and buying books. Well, you can get it online. We're like,
okay, you can get it online.
Yeah.
How do we get it?
You don't come to Las Vegas and talk to a man like Mo Green like that, Michael. Talking to two guys that have been on the air that got everything for free their entire lives. Come on.
Yep. You know how many books I have? We got doubles.
Yeah. Kokonakis, man. Could he score the upset over the Joker today? What do you think? Is that going to be another of our bold predictions?
Not in the first
From
round.
Adelaide, Australia.
Yeah, no.
Tanasi Kokonakis, man. No, this is a big, strong stud. He's been playing very, very well. He's more. I saw him more in doubles, but in singles, he's really, made wild progression. Oh, Djokovic about to break him in his opening game. Okay, so much for that. All right, we're coming back to wrap things up. Having a lot of fun with you on this Wednesday. Tony's going to be with us on Friday, part of our Degenerate Friday show. So we'll have to get all into odds and ends. Mostly odds with Tony Segreto on Friday. Tomorrow, we'll have Dave Gurgles Gurgley and the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge, a chance to win some great stuff. And we'll come back with more on the Defo Show. I'm Jeff DeForest. He's Mike Lubie Lubitz here in South Florida Live in a moment. Now that.
The time.
Folks, Tony Segreto here. Let me ask you a question. What do you look for when you go out to eat? Good food, obviously. Friendly atmosphere, not too loud, but good energy, reasonable prices, and a place where you feel comfortable. All those ingredients, no pun meant there, are hard to find unless you're talking about the Texas Roadhouse. You see, they encompass all of those attributes. Really, really good food, amazing atmosphere, good for a family, good for a date, or just a night out for yourself, and prices that will make you extremely happy. Their ribs, unmatched. Steaks, hand-cut every day. Everything, and I mean everything, is made on site, including their incredible bread. It's the one day, folks, that you can forget about low-carb diets. Trust me when I tell you, Texas Roadhouse, your restaurant, your destination when you say, where should we go and eat tonight?
From the newly renovated sports bar to the beautiful bayside views captured at the Tiki Bar, Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill has it all. Located at mile marker 104, the Big Chill also offers waterfront dining while experiencing breathtaking sunset views of the Florida Keys. It's simply the hottest spot in the Keys to cool off. That's Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill at mile marker 104 in Key Largo. For more information, call today at 305-453-9066.
Recently, we realized it's not just hurricane season that can hurt us. Any time of year, things can happen to your home or business. And the insurance company can be your friend, but they also can be your enemy. Horizon Public Adjusters, Justina Testa, are here for you to help this process go so much easier. Before you call the insurance company, call Horizon Public Adjusters and Justina Testa at 954-809-8752. Would you go into...
People don't like being lied to. That's always the thing. With Pete Rose, if he had just said, of course I bet the Reds. What are you talking about? I had money on every game. We know you did, Pete. It's all right. I mean, now it would be accepted. In fact, they would have it's only a matter of time before the manager of the two teams is asked who he likes in the game. All right, we're going down on the field there. We got Tony La Russa. Tony, what do you think tonight? White Sox minus 135? Well, we're going to go to the pen right away, and I'm going to make like 7 righty-lefty switches at inappropriate times, and I'm going to wear out my bullpen. In fact, all of these guys worked in the game last night, so I would think this. I would take the points, take the runs, and take the price on the Boston Red Sox tonight to beat us. I would not lay 135 to win 100 on the Chicago White Sox. Okay, thanks, Tony. Let's go to Alex Cora. Cora, what do you got? Well, we got all our heavy hitters at the beginning of the lineup tonight, and they really pound this White Sox pitcher the last time he was out there. So I would think that we're a good bet. Money line, Straight up. When's that going to happen? I mean, that's going to be part of the pregame shows now.
Enjoy your trip to work with lots of laughs thanks to Defo and Lubie. Now on the Defo Show.
Call me a wimp, right? Don't call me Ishmael. Call me a wimp. How did I have no money on Harmony 10?
Yeah, I don't get that. I mean,
see, there was some
ways of
satisfaction,
getting
though, in
some
being
action.
right. There was, from the sportscaster standpoint, here, if you could call it sportscasting, but, I mean, it just, the general concept that you can make a bold prediction that most people would think you were out of your mind, right? That Serena was going to get knocked out in the first round of the tournament just based on the fact, and maybe it was that, I don't want to say it was a hideous schmata that she was wearing, but she was wearing like a weird outfit when she came out there to play doubles with Ons Jabeur, and they were playing the Eastbourne tournament, a prelude to Wimbledon, and you're asking yourself, oh, all right, I mean, is that going to be enough to get Serena sort of match ready to play any of these young ladies today that, you're thinking that they knocked the snot out of the ball just as effectively as Serena used to, or close to it. Now Serena, among the most dominant players in any sport in history, and at her best, was just vastly superior to the other women that were on the tour, including her sister Venus, when she really got to her apex there as a player. But out of shape and with no matches in the last year that we know of. I mean, I don't know. She's playing somebody privately that.
I mean, whatever.
But what do you think? I don't know.
Sure, she's playing for fun, but I mean, who gives a shit? Like, she wasn't playing ranked opponents in viewed
tournament
matches,
conditions.
Yeah, like, I don't give a crap what she does.
This Harmony 10, I mean, you have to give her a ton of credit for having the composure, not to go, cement feet, and she has no game to beat Serena with. Zero game that could possibly do any damage to Serena. Pushing the ball literally with these underhand slice jobs. And you're thinking, all right, well, I mean, sometimes, somebody that has like a goofy game can really throw you off.
Yep.
But no, this shouldn't have shaken up Serena Williams. If anything, it would have been, like blasting somebody off the court there in Compton as a young girl that didn't have half the skills that Serena Williams does as a tennis player. So to have no money on that, Lubie, does that put me in the wimp category? See, I just don't. Everybody's pressing a phone and making any kind of wager they want. And I haven't really gotten into that yet because I lose enough money on my own.
I'd rather you're not, yeah.
My traditional methods, yeah.
Keep doing what you're doing.
I don't want to be homeless. I mean, I'll end up selling lucky dogs on the street.
Exactly.
You know what?
Exactly.
That would be something that, I mean, not necessarily a glamour industry, but that would be something that I would like to do. Right? I mean, I have that kind of instinct to be like a street vendor, if you will, Lubie. I always wanted to
arrange it for the day. You guys want me to go line dance at Roadhouse? I'm sure we can talk to cart. There's a lot of food carts these days. I'm sure we could have Defo.
I'm going to be maybe selling hot dogs outside of a ball game, like the good old days. Arepas, maybe down at the. Why don't I get some shish kebabs and arepas? Is there a way? How can we arrange to get like one of these carts where I can make this happen?
I'm sure we can do it.
I mean, I'm not buying one. Obviously, they're not cheap. No. I think they're like thousands of bucks, these carts.
No, but I'm saying I'm sure someone would let you run for a day. They're going to let me line dance, and that's a hazard.
But somebody let me run their hot dog cart for a day.
We got to look into it between Andy and the Segretos and
somebody's
we have connections, like people that deal.
I'm thinking Mayo might know somebody, right? That
Mayo
owns
for sure.
A fleet of hot dog carts or something.
We'll have to talk to him today. We'll have to start working on that. I know you have your trip next week, but when you get back, we'll have to work on me line dancing with the Roadhouse. I'm all in, and we have to. Work if you really,
there's a guy right outside of Harris that sells hot dogs. He says he sells like 400 a day.
Oh, Jesus.
Right outside of Harris. Right in Atlantic City, so maybe I can talk to him. He had to beat up old car for a guy who was making that kind of money, though, and he wasn't selling them all that cheap. I think they were like $4 or $5 a pop for a hot dog. Not bad. Really Lucky dogs are $7, by the way, with the chili and the cheese.
Really?
$7.
Oh, that's annoying.
$6.95.
Oh, that's annoying.
Plus a tip, so you're talking $8 for a dog.
Oh, that's
Yankee Stadium. You're waiting for Aaron Judge to be announced out of the on deck circle. Now batting number 99.
That's the one thing about the New York street water dog. Like, it's gone up a little from like the $2, but I think it's still
Yeah.
like $3. Like it hasn't gone crazy like everything else. Like
No.
it's still
And you get
a
onions,
nice buy.
sauerkraut, whatever you
Get
want.
the whole thing,
Relish.
and you feel pretty full after you eat it. And it's like $3. Like that's not $7-8 for street food.
$7 for a Lucky Dog.
Hot dog,
That's a
like-
chili cheese dog, though. I mean,
Yeah,
which is going to be a premium anywhere. It's going to be at least $5,
Yeah.
no matter where you go. So the fact that it's a Lucky Dog makes what? The guy that's selling it a Lucky Dog for
Yeah,
the extra
exactly.
$2? What do you think? All right. July 4th, always a great sporting weekend, Lubie. Now, I don't know what your plans are for the July 4th weekend. I will still be here through July 4th, taking off actually on my birthday, the 5th. For the Atlantic City junket, and that's with a bunch of Altacockers. It's always kind of interesting to board that plane and realize that I'll be 71 that day, that I'm the youngest guy on the plane.
That's funny. I love that.
You talk about Con Air, man. That plane should just have a skull and crossbones on it. Never mind, some kind of symbol of what the airlines is all about. I mean, it's kind of like, not to jinx the plane in terms of, its safety factors, but, there's a pretty good chance that somebody might check out on the flight.
Oh, Jesus.
With, the people that are going on this.
Oh, no.
We have a medical emergency. We're going to be landing in Tampa. Oh, okay, great. What is it? And then you look back in row 16 as a guy like... having a seizure. Yeah.
Oh, no.
Yeah, you never know if that plane's going to take off on time because there's usually somebody that has to get off at the last second. They start shaking, and then we'll be slightly delayed here today as the paramedics have to board the plane. All right, clear the aisle. You get your chart of flight. What do you think? I mean, baseball was the big thing for me July 4th. I always wanted to go to a doubleheader. I liked working doubleheaders when I was working at Shea. July 4th was always great. What do you think? I mean, what's on the sporting ticket? You still have what? You'll have Wimbledon going, and that'll be the second week of the tournament. So that I was always part of it. What else big? July? Indy 500. Is that like a July? Or is that Memorial Day?
What's interesting is, and it's actually become the big signature event for 4th of July. I can't actually watch it because it makes me sick to my stomach, but we've talked about it a lot with Mike Mayo.
Yeah.
The hot dog eating contest is a big
I
deal
love that.
for the
I
July
absolutely
weekend.
love that. Yeah.
And we're going to have one of the contestants actually on tomorrow
great.
for Believe. So I was thinking maybe we should get you and Mayo to do that because Mayo's been like really intrigued by how they gear up for it. And you and I have talked about how we think Mayo could actually compete in it. So we're actually going to have a contestant of this 4th of July's hot dog eating contest on with us.
I think Mayo, if we do a show anywhere around the 4th, like maybe, I'm going to be gone, but should he not kind of do his own hot dog eating contest?
Friday.
And while we talk, eat hot dogs for 10 minutes on the air. Shovel as many into his face as he can.
Show. Yeah.
Right? Why don't we try it?
Friday, we're going to do a show, I presume. I from what I know. Like,
we'll have to get one of his restaurant sponsors to, provide the hot dogs. What do you think? Tropical Acres? No, they don't do hot dogs.
I don't think any.
His guy from the Hard Rock there, the guy with the knishes. Could get the hot dogs.
The hot dog.
He could talk him into it. Yeah, because he's going to need, how many can Mayo go? 10 minutes Mayo hot dogs. Untrained, though. I mean, these guys know exactly what they're doing. They dip the thing in the water, and it gets all mushy to bun, and they shovel it in their face, and then they know exactly how to swallow it like a snake when he swallows like a possum or something. You see it going all the way down. Now, Chestnut hitting in the 70s is incredible, isn't it? Chestnut.
It's like a joke.
Kobayashi's washed up. He's finished. He's like in a straitjacket somewhere, mumbling about how Chestnut kept beating him. And as we suggested, I don't even know if he could be, Chestnut said he's probably eating tofu now. Which if he was, Brian Greasy, he would have gotten in trouble for, right?
Exactly.
Who else got in difficulty for suggesting it?
There's a few.
Greasy said something about a guy eating tacos because he was from Mexico. And the next
I think Keith Hernandez with the Mets said something because he's Hernandez. But
Bob Trumpy, remember Bob Trumpy? He might have had
I love Trumpy.
Yeah, Trumpy references. Yeah, Trumpy, man. May he rest in peace. All right. Yeah, going to be good. July 4th. I always look forward to it. I'm not a big fan. I love fireworks myself, but these people that all of a sudden think that they're Vladimir Putin. My dog, I mean, just absolutely goes nuts. Yeah. You wouldn't think he'd be scared of stuff like that, but absolutely petrified, no pun intended there, of any kind of noises like that. Thunder, lightning, and fireworks. Not a good day for a dog. That's for sure.
I'm sorry, Skip.
No, but I see this stuff. I mean, it's one thing, the city puts on a fireworks show. That's not going to blow out like your dog's eardrums. But it's the guy next door that lights off some bottle rocket or whatever that is, and you're thinking, really, Joe?
You'd hate us. That's my actual plan. Is I go to my buddy's house. He lives in Davie, and they all do it. And we love it because they're around like this like lake canal thing, and like every house is doing like it's a house, but the fireworks are like real fireworks, and you see it like 4 places. So we love it. But yes, none of us have dogs that are scared of it. So I can't even imagine what your dog's going through because it's people are nuts now about it.
No, he's petrified. Julian, our good friend Julian sells us Joey Chestnut is minus 2,500 to win 100. That's like Canelo Alvarez odds against some stiff from Tijuana, some cab driver that he just dug up. Right? Wow, minus 2,500. Nobody touches this guy. Nobody comes close. The other guys now with Kobayashi out, he has no rival. So he just breezes to like 70 hot dogs. In fact, I don't even think he eats for the first 4 minutes. I think he just sits there. Like he's standing there signing autographs. Chestnut. Unbelievable how he's dominated. Over 74 and a hook is minus 115. Does he go for the record? 75 hot dogs. Mayo can't come close to this, Lubie. I would say
No, I just want him to do 10 to 15. I just want to see if he can do 10 to 15.
I don't think he could do 10. I would say he doesn't break 10. All right, we'll put that challenge up later on today on Mike Mayo's Lunchbox. We'll have that for you in South Florida Live around noon today. And a lot of fun being with you this morning. Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge tomorrow. Thanks to Hialeah Park. Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill, all our fine sponsors here on the show. Tony's going to be with us on Friday if you missed Tony today. He's Mike Louie Lubitz. I'm Jeff DeForest. It's the Defo Show, South Florida Live. Tell your friends, subscribe, get involved, and spread the word. And this thing can only keep getting, from today, it can only get better. I don't know, our Serena, we didn't really trash Serena. I don't have a problem with her playing. I really don't.
She can do what she wants. I just don't get it.
But it might be time to hang up the Nikes, no? At that level of playing.
I just don't get it.
Have some clinics, maybe square off, with
commentary. Go be with
Steffi
like
Graf.
McEnroe.
I don't think she would be that great at it because
I don't know.
I believe she was, representing herself in a very insincere fashion during her career, as evidenced by the many blow-ups that she had, which are just completely overlooked by the media, right? I mean, if she had thrown her racket and created a giant gash on the head of the chair umpire yesterday, Chris Fowler and Caroline Wozniacki would have said, well, the great champions do get a little frustrated at times. It's like, what? She just threw a racket and nearly decapitated the chair umpire. She was pissed about a call. Free pass, no. They definitely give her a free pass. She wasn't behaving badly yesterday. Just, by the second set, that extra game that Tan made her play in that second set might have been the difference, Lubie.
There you go.
All of a sudden, she had a brick wall at 4-0 in the tiebreaker. Loses her serve when serving for the match. Very uncharacteristic. All right, Joker's handling his Kokonakis as if, he was just some chump they picked up off the streets of London. And is up 4-1 in the first set. Wimbledon still going on. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. Well, we'll see you later on the Believe Network. And then you say we're going to have one of the competitors from the
tomorrow. That'll be tomorrow. That'll be
beautiful.
Tomorrow.
All right. Looking forward to that. That's always a lot of fun. All right. We'll see you tomorrow at 7 as we leave you on that with Dave Gurgles. We'll have
the time.
We'll have with us tomorrow at 9:03.
Let's go to eat a damn snack.
Look what they done to my soul.